Chapter 19. It's a shadow leopard. Ling was shocked, but he quickly retreated. So. Borrowing the force of his snake tail, he leaped with astonishing speed. After 3 consecutive jumps, he had already escaped to the top of a distant tree. But the shadow leopard only glanced at Ling coldly, then continued to stare at Dongbua Shuang. It had not put the silver-haired snake man in its eyes. It was a rank 5 magical beast famous for its speed. How could it kill a heaven-ranked knight? One move was enough. Furthermore, with its tyrannical body, even if it just stood there and let the heaven-ranked knight hack and stab it, it would not be able to injure it at all. It completely ignored Ling, and almost all of its attention was on Shuang. This black-clothed human was the real threat. Even after being ambushed by it, he was still able to counterattack. Uncle Zong, stay far away. The further the better. Dongbua Shuang said in a low voice. Snow Eagle, be careful. The shadow leopard is very fast. Ling knew that he could not help, so he quickly retreated. Dongbua Shuang stared at the shadow leopard and grinned. I didn't expect to meet a rank 5 magical beast on my first trip to the mountain range of desolation. As he spoke, his left hand tore off the 2 cloth straps in front of his chest. Clang! The weapon box on his back immediately fell to the ground. The entire weapon box had been completely torn apart. His outer clothes were also torn. Fortunately, he was wearing a protective inner armor. Otherwise, that claw would have seriously injured him. The shadow leopard let out a low voice and slowly moved around Dongbua Shuang. Its 4 paws had meat pads, and its steps were very light. Dongbua Shuang kept staring at it. A human and a magical beast. They were staring at each other's eyes. Life and death were on the line. Swoosh, swoosh. The shadow leopard suddenly moved. It first pounced to the side, but as soon as it pounced, it stepped on the ground and instantly changed its direction, directly towards Dongbua Shuang. Die! Dongbua Shuang's spear was like a venomous snake, appearing in front of the shadow leopard in an instant. The shadow leopard stared at Dongbua Shuang with its gloomy eyes. As it rushed out, its 4 hooves were practically touching the ground at all times. With a light tap as fast as lightning, it had already changed directions once again, dodging the sharp tip of the spear. Again and again, he pounced and changed directions. Dongbua Shuang was doing his best to defend. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The shadow leopard turned into a ghostly shadow, surrounding Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang was surrounded by countless spear tips, as well as the snowflakes formed by the Feishuek godly spear. Too fast, too fast. Not enough, still not enough. Dongbua Shuang felt that his body was slow. Although some of his techniques from a mystic eye spear art were known for their speed, compared to the shadow leopard, the difference was still very obvious. The shadow leopard seemed to be taking a stroll around him, looking for an opportunity time after time. This kind of mirage-like movement was not even the shadow leopard's limit. The shadow leopard's eyes were very calm, as if everything was under its control. Boom! The air distorted, and the shadow leopard's speed suddenly increased, charging towards Dongbua Shuang. This is the moment. Dongbua Shuang's eyes turned red, and a faint blood-red aura appeared around his body. It was obvious that Dongbua Shuang had completely activated his primordial bloodline. Power explosion. Boom! The tip of the spear spun, tearing the air apart, drawing a twisted arc as it pierced towards the shadow leopard. The shadow leopard was shocked. The speed of this spear was completely out of its expectations. If it was on guard, it would be able to dodge this spear easily. But at this moment, it was already in front of Dongbua Shuang. The distance was too close, and its body was too fast. There was no way for it to dodge. Roar! It let out a ferocious roar, and both of its front claws slammed onto the spear. The spear spun like a swimming snake. With this leap, the spear's rotation reduced the impact by more than half, and it continued to pierce towards the shadow leopard's abdomen. The shadow leopard's entire body twisted as if it had no bones, trying its best to dodge this terrifying spear. Rip! The tip of the spear brushed past the shadow leopard's soft white abdomen, and a bloody wound appeared. The shadow leopard borrowed the force of the spear to fly up into the sky and directly landed on a branch of a large tree. There was a 2 chi long wound on its abdomen, but the wound had already closed, and some blood was dripping down. Its gray eyes were filled with madness, and it stared at Dongbua Shui Ying below. To think that I didn't kill you, you are really lucky. Dongbua Shui Ying stared at the shadow leopard above, and his heart was filled with unwillingness. His explosive strength at the critical moment was the best way to catch the opponent off guard. Now that the shadow leopard was prepared, it was going to be troublesome. So. The shadow leopard was enraged, and it suddenly dashed down, stepping on the tree and sprinting downwards. After 3 leaps, it arrived in front of Dongbua Shui Ying. Xiao! The faint blood-red aura around Dongbua Shui Ying's body soared, and the shadow leopard carefully dodged the fatal thrust of the spear. Scram! With his spear in the air, Dongbua Shui Ying immediately changed the thrust into a sweep. The sweep of the spear had the power to shatter the heavens and crack the earth. The shadow leopard revealed a look of shock. If this whip really hit, even if it didn't die, it would be severely injured. How could it know that the primordial bloodline that Dongbua Shui Ying had awakened was the strength bloodline? At this moment, when he swept his spear, he had to channel all his strength into the spear. The shadow leopard's body undulated like waves, and its sharp claws lightly tapped on the spear's shaft, borrowing the force to dodge. Boom! The spear swept across and hit a tree at the side. The tree suddenly exploded, and the entire trunk was split in half, and the tree started to collapse. Die for me! Dongbua Shui Ying dashed out, and his spear was either thrusting, slashing, or sweeping. An unending stream of attacks enveloped the shadow leopard, and the shadow leopard continuously retreated to dodge. In an instant, the surrounding forest was in trouble. Dongbua Shui Ying's spear could even smash a boulder that would require 2 to 3 people to wrap their arms around it and completely pierce through it. How could these trees withstand the devastation? The battle continued. Dongbua Shui Ying also realized that he had long left Uncle Zong far behind, and this made him secretly heave a sigh of relief. However, he was still very anxious in his heart. This was because under the explosive power, he seemed to be attacking crazily, and he had the upper hand. However, when he retreated, the shadow leopard would immediately chase after him, not allowing him to escape. The shadow leopard's speed was too fast. If it wanted to chase after him, Dongbua Shui Ying would not be able to shake it off. What should I do? What should I do? My stamina is continuously depleting, and I can't hold on for much longer. Under the explosive power, Dongbua Shui Ying could feel that his stamina was rapidly depleting. Once his stamina was depleted, he would be dead. The shadow leopard was an experienced hunter, and it was always looking for an opportunity. Finally, the rapid depletion of Dongbua Shui Ying's stamina caused a flaw to appear in his attack. The shadow leopard suddenly dashed out like lightning, and in the blink of an eye, appeared in front of Dongbua Shui Ying. Not good. Dongbua Shui Ying's heart trembled, and his scalp went numb. The danger of death came so suddenly. Die! Dongbua Shui Ying went crazy, and his eyes were bloodshot. It was either you die or I die. He used all the strength in his body to thrust out the spear in his hand. This was his final struggle. Just like some wild beast that would struggle crazily before they die, Dongbua Shui Ying's instincts were aroused when he suddenly faced death. All the power in his body surged, and the time around him seemed to slow down. The shadow leopard's fangs could be seen clearly. The wind from the battle was so clear that it blew on his face. Hua hua hua. The blood in his body flowed like a river, and he could feel it clearly. Si, the power in his bones and muscles was also being transmitted, perfect power pure as one. Under the threat of death, Dongbua Shui Ying's instincts finally broke through the barrier. The flow of his blood, the connection between his bones and muscles. He could feel everything, and it was so wonderful. At this moment, all the power was under his control. It was incomparably precise, and there was not a single bit of waste. Who? All the power in his body flowed like water, and he had never had such perfect control of his body before. The spear spun and pierced through the air, and its speed suddenly increased. Pudgy! The tip of the spear instantly pierced through the chest of the shadow leopard and came out from its back. Holding onto the spear, Dongbua Shui Ying stared at the shadow leopard that was still struggling, and blood flowed out continuously. The shadow leopard also stared at Dongbua Shui Ying, but at this moment, its gray eyes were filled with fear, anger, and anxiety. Its strong vitality allowed it to struggle for half a minute, and its blood flowed all over the ground before it finally stopped breathing. His body relaxed, and Dongbua Shui Ying laid down on the cold, snowy ground and looked at the shadow leopard that was still staring at him. You die and I live. Dongbua Shui Ying looked at the corpse of the shadow leopard and felt a sense of relief. Chapter 20. Zhongling descended from a high place and looked at the messy forest that seemed to have been destroyed by a monster. His heart was filled with worry. Snow Eagle, you must be all right. You must be all right. Zhongling followed the traces of destruction. He was so anxious that his heart was twitching. Damn it! Damn it! Why am I still not able to become a meteor knight? If I had broken through, I would have been able to help Snow Eagle. I wouldn't have let Snow Eagle fall into that hopeless situation alone. His good friends Dongbua Lai and Mo Yang had been captured. They had asked him to take good care of the two children. Seeing Snow Eagle grow up from a crying baby to an adult, Zhongling's feelings for Snow Eagle were very deep. Looking at the messy forest in front of him, Zhongling became more and more anxious. Nothing must happen. Nothing must happen. Zhongling flew forward at high speed. Who? With a leap, his snake tail smashed into the trunk of a nearby tree. When Zhongling was in midair, he saw the figure of a black-robed youth standing in the distance. The moment he saw the figure of the black-robed youth, Zhongling's heart relaxed, and he let out a long breath. Snow Eagle. Zhongling rushed over. Uncle Zhong. Dongbua Shui Ying was removing the corpse of the shadow leopard from the spear shaft. You killed the shadow leopard? Zhongling looked at the corpse in disbelief. This was a terrifying hunter that was famous for its speed and agility. Dongbua Shui Ying laughed. I was lucky. I was really lucky. Just a little bit more, and the one who died would have been me. This was the closest he had ever been to death. Although he had fought with demonic beasts before, the sharp claws and fangs of those demonic beasts had brushed past his body, and he had felt the aura of death. But that was when he had been attacked by a group of demonic beasts. He had always been in an advantageous position, but this time, although there was only one shadow leopard, it was able to suppress him in all aspects. Shua! Dongbua Shui Ying stretched out his left hand, and a spear pouch appeared in his palm. There were a total of 12 short spears in the pouch, and this spear pouch was originally kept in his storage pendant. Come in. He put down the spear pouch and picked up the shadow leopard's corpse. He even curled it up slightly. Who? The corpse of the shadow leopard had disappeared without a trace, and the space inside the storage pendant was almost full, with only a few gaps in the corners. Uncle Zhong, let's hurry up and leave. The smell of blood might attract the demonic beasts over. Dongbua Shui Ying carried the spear bag on his back and grabbed the Fei Shui God spear. Don't worry too much. With the shadow leopard's aura permeating the surroundings, ordinary magical beasts wouldn't dare approach. But after experiencing such a big battle, you should have a good rest. Zhongling said with a relaxed smile. On the way back, Dongbua Shui Ying was in a good mood. Although he had experienced a dangerous battle of life and death, the value of a shadow leopard was more than 100,000 gold coins. The shadow leopard's satin-like fur had the effect of concealing and was a precious refining material. Of course, the fur of the shadow leopard fell into the hands of the rich and powerful. It was their favorite. Wearing a shadow leopard's fur would make one look beautiful and dignified. How many people would be jealous of them? To the Snow Eagle, it didn't matter, as long as it was worth money. Within the mountain range of Desolation's campsite, when Dongbua Shui Ying and Zhongling returned to the campsite after walking for 4 hours, the sky was already dark. After eating dinner, Zhongling went to rest, but Dongbua Shuang didn't. Crackle, the campsite's bonfire continued to burn, driving away the cold. Dongbua Shuang sat cross-legged next to the bonfire, and the Feishui God spear was placed flat on his knees. He closed his eyes and sat cross-legged quietly, the light from the bonfire shining on his face. Quiet. The night was very quiet. Dongbua Shuang attentively felt his body, feeling every bone and muscle in his body, feeling the expansion and contraction of his heart, and the strong flow of his blood like a raging river. Previously, when he was on the verge of death, he had already reached the realm of power as one. At this moment, he was attentively experiencing and consolidating his strength. Rise! Dongbua Shuang suddenly stood up, and with the Feishui God spear in his hand, he began to practice his spear arts. Man and spear became one, as though he had transformed into a flood dragon. Spear shadows flashed, and snowflakes fluttered. Good spear, good spear. Dongbua Shuang stopped and looked at the Feishui God spear in his hand, his face filled with joy. The human, I had a temporary vision. If the spear was fast enough, the human, I would be able to see multiple spears attacking at the same time. Of course, different humans had different temporary vision. Ordinary knights, earth knights, heaven knights, the temporary vision was more ordinary. The temporary vision of a star knight was extremely short. For transcendence, the temporary vision of a transcendent was even shorter. This time, when he came to the mountain range of desolation, Dongbua Shuang's spear arts could reach the 5-spear realm. With the temporary vision of a star knight, he would be able to see a total of 5 spears. Even if he were to use his primordial bloodline, he would barely be able to reach the 7-spear realm. But now, power as one, with perfect control over every single strand of strength in his body. Even if he did not use his strength, he could easily reach this 7-spear realm. As for the Feishui God spear, as a divine weapon, only in the hands of a spear master would it be able to display its true power. The inside of the Feishui God spear was like the arteries and veins of the human body. When the spear collided with the enemy's weapon, or when the spear was suddenly retracted, it would produce an opposite force. This force would normally dissipate within the spear. However, the inside of the Feishui God spear would perfectly transmit this force, and would not dissipate within a short period of time. Normally, a spear master would not care about the rebounding force of the spear, and would even feel that it was a hindrance. But as a spear master, he could perfectly utilize this force, and even use it to attack faster. Power as one. I have reached the 7-spear realm. The Feishui God spear is able to perfectly utilize all kinds of strength, allowing the spear's power to increase. Just the speed alone would allow me to reach the 8-spear realm. Once I use my primordial bloodline again, that would be the 10-spear realm. Dongbua Shuang was somewhat excited. The shadow leopard's death was not unjust. At that time, Dongbua Shuang's final attack had reached the terrifying level of the 10-spear realm. This was a terrifying spear speed that could completely suppress a Silver Moon Knight. A weaker Silver Moon Knight would not even be able to block a few spear strikes before being killed. This is still not my limit. My spear speed can be even faster. Dongbua Shuang began to practice the transcendent life spear art that his father had left behind for him, the mystic ice spear art. It was the absolute art of a powerful, transcendent knight. Only when one became a spear master would he be able to learn the first level. The Do Chi in his body revolved to support his body's strength. The spear spun like a python, and when the spear thrust out, the arc of rotation was even more shocking. When the spear was retracted, it had to be retracted in the opposite direction. This thrust and retraction, the powerful rotation and counter-rotation, would allow the spear shaft to contain a rotational force. With such a powerful force, a normal spear expert would feel their palms go numb, and the spear shaft would fly out of their hands. But the mystic ice spear art utilized this kind of force. Not right. The force exertion is wrong. The rotational force is not pure enough. Dongbua Shuang practiced his spear technique again and again. Voila, voila. At night in the camp, the sound of the spear whistling caused the soldiers on night watch to feel their scalps go numb. They looked at their young lord who was practicing his spear technique next to the bonfire, and could not help but be in awe. The Lord is indeed the Lord. Amazing. He is already at the mountain range of desolation, but he is still practicing his spear so crazily at night. No wonder he is so powerful. When the Lord was 8 years old, he was already crazy. I can't endure this kind of suffering. The soldiers quietly discussed. Dongbua Shui Ying practiced the techniques of the first level of the mystic ice spear art again and again. Although the mystic ice knight, Gu Yuan Han, had described it in detail, it was still very difficult to learn. Fortunately, as a spear master, Dongbua Shui Ying was able to control his strength very precisely, which was why he was able to learn it. The night quickly passed, and the sky became bright. See, the spear thrust out. Like a python that moved in an instant, the sound in the air was very short. It was not the usual whooshing sound, but a short sigh sound. When the spear was retracted, the entire spear shaft's rotation could be seen with the naked eye, and then it was quickly thrust out again. Dongbua Shui Ying revealed a look of joy. A faint blood-red aura suddenly appeared around his body. His strength completely erupted, and he displayed the terrifying spear technique to his heart's content. Shio, 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 shio. The snowflakes around the spear shaft floated, and the spear tip formed a pattern that looked like snowflakes that stopped in the air. A total of 12 spear snowflakes stopped in the air before dissipating. He had actually reached the terrifying 12 spear realm. The first level of mystic ice spear art, floating snow. This unique skill had a huge increase in the speed of the spear technique. The mystic ice knight, Gu Yuan Han's spear technique, was originally known for its speed. The second and third levels were even faster, but also more difficult. 12 Spear Realm. Dongbua Shui Ying revealed a smile. The first level of mystic ice spear art, floating snow. I've finally mastered it. After becoming a spear master and learning the basics of the mystic ice spear art, Dongbua Shui Ying's strength had an astonishing increase. Chapter 21. Frost covered the ground, freezing it hard. Tranquil Sun Province was, after all, the northernmost part of the continent. It was even colder in winter. You're not entering the mountain range of desolation today. Zhongling and Dongbua Shui Ying walked side by side. Is it because you killed the shadow leopard and are preparing to go back? The shadow leopard's corpse was worth more than 100,000 gold coins. Dongbua Shui Ying's main purpose in coming to the mountain range of desolation was to earn money for his brother. Nope. Dongbua Shui Ying laughed. After the battle with the shadow leopard, my spear technique had a breakthrough. I trained for an entire night without rest. I'm preparing to practice my spear technique. After a good night's sleep, tomorrow I'll be full of energy before entering the mountain range of desolation and exterminate the silver moon wolves. Exterminate the silver moon wolves? Are you confident? Zhongling was shocked. Confident. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. Before his breakthrough, his chances of success against the entire silver moon wolves were less than 10%, and the possibility of death was extremely high. But now, his spear technique had improved too much. Even without activating his bloodline, he could reach the 10-spear realm. Previously, he was only at the 5-spear realm. This was a qualitative improvement, as long as you have enough confidence. Zhongling was pleased. Seeing the snow eagle becoming stronger, he was also happy. Noon of the second day. In a dark forest in a mountain range of desolation, the howls of wolves could be heard everywhere. Some were frightened, some were angry. The corpses of the silver moon wolves were everywhere. The huge silver moon wolf king was standing on a huge rock and howling. A large number of silver moon wolves were rushing towards a black-clothed youth. Kill! The black-clothed youth was advancing. Snowflakes fluttered, and the spear was cold. Every time it flashed, a silver moon wolf would fall. All of them had their throats, heads, and other vital points pierced through. His spear technique was too fast. No matter how crazily the silver moon wolves attacked, they were unable to break through Dongbua Shui Ying's spear technique circle. Those who dared to approach died. This pack of silver moon wolves was the overlord of the surrounding area. Other magical beasts didn't dare to provoke them. Even when the human army swept through the area, if they encountered the silver moon wolves, there would be many casualties. Because the silver moon wolves were large in size, they had strong charging power, and they were not afraid of death. It was equivalent to 200 to 300 heaven-rank knights besieging them at the same time. It was indeed a nightmare. But now, Dongbua Shuiying had become the nightmare of these silver moon wolves. Die. Dongbua Shuiying did not show any mercy as he killed these silver moon wolves. Magical beasts were the enemies of the entire human race. This was also the reason why the human army had to wipe them out time and time again. The demonic beasts slaughtered human cities over and over again. This was a common occurrence when humans were weak. Roar! The Silver Moon Wolf King finally charged towards Dongbua Shuiying. Good timing. Dongbua Shuiying's eyes lit up. Scram! The spear in Dongbua Shuiying's hands was like a nimble dragon, whipping the Silver Moon Wolves on both sides. The Silver Moon Wolves on both sides were either sent flying or fell to the side. As a spear grandmaster, his control over the power of his spear was very precise, poking the grass to find the snake. As the spear lashed out, the Silver Moon Wolves parted like grass, while Dongbua Shuiying charged towards the Silver Moon Wolf King. The Silver Moon Wolf King was shocked. It originally wanted to surround and attack Ying with its subordinates. Facing this young human's imposing manner, it felt a trace of panic and even wanted to turn around and escape. But it was too late. Pooh! The spear whistled as it spun and pierced towards the Silver Moon Wolf King. The Silver Moon Wolf King immediately leaped up and dodged the spear. The spear pierced through the Silver Moon Wolf King's body. Get up! Dongbua Shuiying suddenly exerted force. The spear changed from a furious stab to an upward slash. It directly struck the Silver Moon Wolf King's body. Pong! A muffled sound could be heard as the Silver Moon Wolf King's abdomen was struck. It let out a mournful howl as blood flowed out of its mouth and nose. Its body tumbled to the side. Swish! The spear was as fast as lightning. In an instant, it pierced through the Silver Moon Wolf King's throat, piercing through its fur. The gigantic Silver Moon Wolf King was completely rooted to the ground. The Wolf King's body struggled helplessly. The remaining hundreds of Silver Moon Wolves retreated in panic. This black-robed young human was too terrifying. Awoo! Awoo! These Silver Moon Wolves let out panicked howls as they quickly turned around and fled. Beautiful Snow Eagle. I didn't expect you to be able to deal with an entire pack of Silver Moon Wolves so easily. Zhongling appeared as well. My spear arts are very suitable for dealing with encirclement. Dongbua Shuiying laughed. Hurry up and dissect it to collect the materials. Zhongling said, the stench of blood here is too strong. Although this is the territory of the Silver Moon Wolves, as time passes, other magical beasts will come. Leave a dissection to me. I'm more experienced than you. Clang, clang, clang. Zhongling immediately took out 6 sabers. With a wave of his 6 arms, the Silver Moon Wolf King's corpse was quickly dissected. This is the heart of the Silver Moon. Dongbua Shuiying immediately stored it in a metal box and placed it into his storage pendant. Because the storage pendant was used to store the shadow leopard's corpse, the remaining space was very small. However, it was still enough to store some small items. After harvesting a few precious materials, then he peeled off the entire Silver Moon Wolf King's fur. What a pity! The Silver Moon Wolf King's meat can be sold for a very high price. I can only waste it like this. Zhongling shook his head. The Silver Moon Wolf King's meat was close to 20,000 jin. With such a huge body, how could it be carried? Even if it was so heavy, how could it walk? And the stench of blood would definitely attract more magical beasts. Let's go. Zhongling folded the Silver Moon Wolf King's fur and tied it up with a cloth. It was taller than a person. This fur alone is close to 2,000 jin. Zhongling exclaimed, I'll carry it. Dongbua Shuiying was strong, so he didn't care about 2,000 jin. Carrying the huge Silver Moon Wolf King's fur on his back, the Wolf King's head drooped to one side. The snow-white fur was indeed very beautiful. The color was even brighter, and the whiteness was even higher than that of an ordinary silver moon wolf. This was the clothing material that many nobles liked. It looked very domineering when used on the bed or on the ground. It would also be a very valuable collection if hung on the wall. Not counting the other materials, just this silver moon wolf king's fur alone was worth about 50,000 gold coins. Naturally, he had to carry it back. Come, let's go home. Dongboi Shuang laughed. Yes, let's go home. Zhongling was also very happy. This trip to the mountain range of desolation had really been very rewarding. Bent Blade Union. Their nest was very well hidden. It was located in the belly of a huge mountain and was only about 200 li away from the outside. One year, I heard that the Luo family is not willing to pay this time. Two bandits were hiding in the weeds at the top of a mountain next to their nest. They were watching the movements while chatting. The Luo family said that they are only willing to pay half. Otherwise, it will be a life and death struggle. The one-eared skinny man said, I think that the Luo family has been squeezed too much, and they're almost out of money. *CK their ancestors. The leader said that not a single copper coin can be missing. They dare to not pay? Next time, we will go to the Luo family's territory and kill them. After destroying a few villages, the Luo family will know fear. These damned nobles. They will not shed tears until they see the coffin. The one-eared bandit cursed in a low voice. Look, there's someone. Yeah, there's actually someone who dares to enter the mountain range of desolation. The two bandits in charge of guarding the nest were shocked. There were more than 10 bandits in charge of guarding the nest, but they were mainly worried about the magical beasts. As for the humans, it had been a long time since humans attacked their nest. As for the human army, they had some friends in the army. If the army made a big move, they would have already left the mountain and waited outside. Look, isn't that the six-armed Naga? The Snow Eagle Territory's six-armed Naga, Zhongling. The one-eared bandit immediately recognized that the six-armed Naga was an expert who had fought with their leader and survived. The young man beside him is carrying a very beautiful fur. It is much more beautiful than the average silver moon wolf fur we have seen before. And that fur is so big. It should be the Silver Moon Wolf King's. The two bandits looked at each other. The Silver Moon Wolf King's fur? That was worth about 50,000 gold coins. The entire Snow Eagle territory could be sold for about this price. Such a beautiful snow white wolf fur. So white, so big, and so shiny. It must be the Silver Moon Wolf King. It must be. One ear, quickly, go and report to the leader. I will keep an eye on it. The two bandits were so excited that they were almost drooling. This was definitely a big business. But whether to snatch the Silver Moon Wolf King's fur or not was up to the leader. Chapter 22. Inside the mountain cave. The ground was very smooth. The bandits had different residences according to their status. Master, come, have a taste. Master, try mine. Mine is delicious. 5 enchanting women surrounded a bare-chested, coarse-haired man, serving him with various fruits. This man was the leader of the Bent Blade Union, and also the strongest bandit in Waterright's town. Bent Blade Gubin. These pitiful women were all afraid of this bandit leader, because if they made him unhappy, he would torture them to death. Fear made them think of ways to flatter him. Fuck his mother, I used to eat and drink to my heart's content, with countless beauties. Now I can only hide in this mountain, surrounded by these beauties. Gubin's triangular eyes were filled with killing intent. Ever since he became a wanted criminal, he had been suppressing his anger. These days were too unpleasant. Which normal person would be willing to hide in the dangerous mountain range of desolation? Even food and drink had to be transported from the outside. Who knew when they would meet a magical beast? He could only make do with the women that he had captured. How could it be compared to when he was a meteor knight in the city, where he could be fawned upon and choose from countless beauties? I need to spend money to get the Empire to withdraw the wanted order. Gubin's eyes flashed with an ominous glint. That Sea Clan's appetite is too big. They want at least 200,000 gold coins to withdraw the wanted order. Damn it. The Sea Clan could almost cover the sky in the entire Azure River County. Withdrawing the wanted order, the Sea Clan could easily do it. I should be able to gather the money in another 10 years. At that time, I will be free again. Gubin was too eager. Only after becoming a wanted criminal did he understand the value of freedom. Leader, leader, leader. An ear-piercing voice came from outside. What the hell are you shouting for? Gubin stood up angrily. The enchanting women beside him were so scared that they moved to the side. Gubin angrily walked out. Leader, happy news, it's a happy news. A voice came from outside. Obviously, the people outside understood the consequences of disturbing the leader. Oh, happy news? Gubin pushed open the door and coldly looked at his subordinates. What happy news? In front of the meteor-class Gubin, the usually ferocious bandit was like a grandchild. He hurriedly smiled and said, It's the fur of a Silver Moon Wolf King. Second leader, and the others are waiting for you. Silver Moon Wolf King's fur? Gubin was shocked as well. He hurriedly rushed to the meeting hall. In the meeting hall, Gubin was sitting in the main seat, and the other leaders were sitting beside him. The other leaders were all heaven rank experts. The Bent Blade Union was the largest bandit group in Waterrights Town. Naturally, it attracted many powerful outlaws to join them. One Ear, hurry up and tell us what's going on, said a gray-robed old man sitting next to Gubin. I was ordered to scout outside, but who would have thought that I would see two humans? The one-eared bandit hastily said. One of them is the six-armed serpent demon Ling of the Snow Eagle territory. The other one is a black-clothed youth wielding a spear. He looks to be about 16 or 17 years old, and he's carrying a huge Silver Moon Wolf King pelt on his back. Ling? Gubin's fingers lightly tapped on the armrest, his voice cold. A powerful spear user in the entire Waterrights Town, and one that's related to Ling. I'm afraid it's the young leader of the Snow Eagle territory who's almost obsessed with the spear. The spear demon Dongbua Shuang. The gray-robed old man next to him nodded. I've heard of his name, but I didn't take him seriously. Being obsessed with the spear doesn't mean that he's powerful. But now, he actually dared to enter the mountain range of desolation, and even obtain the Silver Moon Wolf King's fur. I'm afraid his strength can't be underestimated. Big brother, are we going to rob it? A sturdy bald bandit sitting next to him roared. To be able to obtain the Silver Moon Wolf King's fur. Could it be that Ling has already broken through to the meteor rank? Gubin said softly. Very likely. The gray-robed old man nodded. Ling has been a heaven rank for a long time, and it's very likely that he has already stepped into the meteor rank. He's also the six-armed serpent demon of the serpent tribe. Under the frenzied attack of the six blades, the wolf pack will probably be ravaged. Coupled with some specially prepared traps, it's still possible to capture and kill the Silver Moon Wolf King in one fell swoop. Dongbua Shuang was good at dealing with group attacks, but if Ling, who had a tail and 6 arms, were to become a meteor rank, he would also be very good at dealing with group attacks. Could the young leader of the Snow Eagle territory also be a meteor rank? The foolish bald bandit roared. How is that possible? How old is he? Even if he became a knight at the age of 7 or 8, he should be a heaven rank knight by now. Immediately, another bandit retorted. The bald bandit rubbed his head and laughed. I was wrong. Gubin said coldly. Ling is very likely to have become a meteor knight. As for that young leader, he should be a heaven rank. Even if he has also become a meteor knight, it's just 2 meteor knights. We have so many people, and this is our territory. There's still hope to eliminate them. That's the worst. That young man is not likely to be a meteor rank. The gray-robed old man said, We have a high chance of success. Good. Then let's kill them and snatch the Silver Moon Wolf King's fur. Gubin grinned. Since that young leader is a leader, he might have some valuable treasures on him. Snatch. Snatch them. Kill them. All sorts of excited howls could be heard in the meeting hall. One Ear, where are they now? Gubin immediately asked. They're still far away. They are currently heading out of the mountain. They will definitely pass through the canyon in front. The one-eared bandit said. Very good. Let's set up an ambush in the canyon in front. Second brother, I'll leave the arrangements to you. Gubin looked at the gray-robed old man beside him. This gray-robed old man was a heaven rank mage. Among the bandits, his position was second only to Gubin. This heaven-rank mage was discovered to have secretly captured a large number of humans to conduct experiments on. Leave it to me. The gray-robed old man nodded lightly. Deep in the mountains, Dongbua Shui Ying carried the Silver Moon Wolf King's fur on his back and walked shoulder to shoulder with Uncle Zong. The two of them were still paying attention to their surroundings. However, with Dongbua Shui Ying's current strength, even a rank 5 magical beast would not be a threat to him. As they walked through a wide canyon, Dongbua Shui Ying suddenly frowned. Uncle Zong, stop. What's wrong? Zong Ling was startled. The aura is not right. Dongbua Shui Ying looked ahead. Ever since he became a great spear master, his spear arts had gradually reached a godly level. He had started to sense the heaven and earth. Along the way, the surrounding aura was filled with the chi of nature. However, Dongbua Shui Ying could sense a baleful aura hidden within the chi of nature. It was not in harmony with the chi of nature. There might be an ambush. Let's turn around, Dongbua Shui Ying said. Let's see if they will show themselves. When Dongbua Shui Ying and Zong Ling turned around, 6-armed serpent demon Zong Ling, since you are here, don't think of leaving. A cold voice reverberated in the canyon. Brothers, show yourselves. We have been discovered. Dongbua Shui Ying and Zong Ling immediately saw that there were many groups of bandits hiding on the two sides of the canyon. With a single glance, they could see that there were close to 1,000 bandits. All of the bandits were staring at Dongbua Shui Ying and Zong Ling as though they were looking at two little sheep. Boom! A group of people walked over from the front of the canyon. The leader of the group was a ferocious-looking man with 2 blades on his waist. Beside him were his subordinates. Gubin. A cold glint flashed across Zong Ling's eyes. Ha ha! Zong Ling. Oh, Zong Ling. You really barged into hell by yourself. Gubin laughed sinisterly. Even if you have broken through to become a meteor knight, you will still die in my territory. Ha ha! If you were to hide in the snow eagle territory, I wouldn't be able to do anything to you. But you actually took the initiative to come here. Aren't you courting death? I will fulfill your wish. Oh, and that tender little feudal lord. Don't worry, I will let you die very quickly. It won't be painful at all. Chapter 23. Gubin led a group of subordinates over, and a large number of bandits on both sides of the canyon were eyeing them covetously. Let's go, Zong Ling said anxiously. Without hesitation, Dongbua Shui Ying and Zong Ling turned around and fled. Flee? Chase after them. Gubin shouted coldly. Damn it! How did they discover us? If they had walked any further, they would have fallen into our trap. The other bandits were furious as well. They did not expect the 6-armed serpent demon Zong Ling and the young feudal lord to discover them from afar. They were rather confident in their concealment abilities, otherwise they would not have survived until today in the mountain range of desolation. Chase after them. Gubin gritted his teeth and roared. Dongbua Shui Ying and Zong Ling intentionally fled, causing the bandits to chase after them. Some of the bandits on both sides of the canyon took out some strange-looking crossbows. More than 10 hunting net crossbows shot towards Dongbua Shui Ying and Zong Ling. The projectiles exploded in midair, turning into a huge hunting net that enveloped Dongbua Shui Ying and Zong Ling dodge. Dongbua Shui Ying and Zong Ling swiftly dodged. No matter how powerful they would be in deep trouble if they were entangled by the hunting net. This was also the reason why they intentionally fled. Fortunately, they did not fall into the ambush, and there was quite a distance between them. Those hunting nets, with Dongbua Shui Ying and Zong Ling's strength, they were able to dodge them easily. Too agile. I couldn't stop them. A total of 12 hunting nets missed, causing Gubin and the others to grit their teeth in anger. Uncle Zong, we have already fled for a li. It should be enough. There should be no more ambushes. Dongbua Shui Ying stopped and put down the Silver Moon Wolf King pelt on his back. Continue running. Why don't you continue running? There's a horde of magical beasts in front of us. Let's see how long you can run. Gubin and a large group of bandits were closing in on them. Dongbua Shui Ying stabbed the Feishua godly spear into the ground and grinned at the bandits. Gubin, 6 years ago, you slaughtered your way into my Snow Eagle territory and slaughtered over 500 civilians. And within the entire water rights territory, countless people have died because of your bent blade union. Today is the day you pay your debts. While Dongbua Shui-Ying was speaking, Gubin and the others were still approaching them. Pay the debt. Gaibin grinned. There are too many people who want to kill me, but in the end, almost all of them died by my hands. The gray-robed old man behind Gubin held a magic staff vigilantly and began to softly chant an incantation. Dongbua Shui-Ying had been paying attention to this group of bandits, but most of his attention was on the gray-robed old man. He already knew that there was a heaven mage in the Bent Blade Union. It was foolish to allow a mage to cast spells. Yes, pay the debt, the blood debt of countless people. Dongbua Shui-Ying instantly pulled out 2 short spears from the spear sheath on his back. Go, go! A faint blood-red aura appeared around his body, and Dongbua Shui-Ying's right hand flung out 2 short spears at lightning speed. His right hand was the one that he used to practice using short spears. In order to ensure success, he completely activated his power bloodline. Xiao! Xiao! The 2 short spears, one in front and one behind, tore through the air with a terrifying whistling sound. In an instant, they crossed over 100 meters and arrived in front of the gray-robed old man. Too fast. The speed of the short spears caused all the bandits to reveal expressions of fear. Careful! Gubin was shocked and immediately drew out his scimitar, blocking in front of the gray-robed old man. With a bang, Gubin felt a terrifying force being transmitted to him, and he felt a sharp pain in his arm. The short spear that was slightly affected by the force changed its direction and shot towards another bandit. Pu. The spear pierced through the bodies of 3 bandits, leaving a huge bloody hole in their bodies. Pu! The gray-robed old man's eyes were filled with fear and unwillingness. Although the first short spear was blocked by the great leader, the second one was already in front of him. A layer of black fog immediately appeared on the surface of his body. However, when Dongbua Shui-Ying's power bloodline erupted, it was already comparable to a Silver Moon Knight's. When the terrifying short spear was thrown down, the layer of black fog could not stop it at all. In an instant, the short spear pierced through the old man's chest. When the fog dissipated, the gray-robed old man's eyes were wide open, and there was a bloody hole the size of a bowl on his chest. A heaven mage. Dead. Scum. All of you can die for me. Dongbua Shui-Ying had no pity for these bandits whose hands were covered in blood. He quickly took out the short spear from his spear pouch, and under the power of his power bloodline, a terrifying power was imbued into the short spear through his arm. As a master of power as one, he had perfect control over his body's strength, allowing the short spear to display its greatest power. Xiao! Every short spear carried a terrifying speed, piercing through the void and towards those bandits. There were mountain walls on both sides of the canyon, and these bandits had nowhere to hide even if they wanted to. Pu! A bald, burly man used a shield to block with all his might, but with a loud sound, the shield was completely shattered. The short spear tore through his body, and even pierced through the body of a bandit behind him. Xiao! 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 The air was torn apart by the pressure, and the short spear was like the invitation of the Grim Reaper. This large group of bandits instantly collapsed in fear. Because the canyon was only so wide, there were close to 1,000 bandits chasing after them, and now that the short spear was shot over, it was like a bunch of them. They were like roasted meat skewers, but if they were pierced through, they would lose their lives. Who wouldn't be afraid? How can he be so strong? How can this be? How can this be? Gubin used his scimitar to block with all his might. 2 consecutive short spears were shot towards him, and he had to use his old life to block them. The short spears that he blocked still killed many of the bandits beside him. So the scariest one is not the 6-armed serpent demon Ling, but this young lord. Gubin stared at the black, clothed young man who continuously shot short spears. Gubin was only attacked by 2 short spears and was unable to kill him, so Dongbua Shui-Ying temporarily gave up. As for the other heaven-rank knights and many other bandits, they were slaughtered. Some of the short spears shot down and pierced through the bodies of 6 to 7 bandits, mainly because they were too densely packed. With the threat of death, time seemed to pass very slowly. But in reality, there were only a total of 12 short spears, and with the speed at which Dongbua Shui Ying threw the short spears, they were all shot out very quickly. The short spears stopped, but the bandits were still in shock and looked around blankly. The second leader was dead, the third leader was dead, the fourth leader was dead, except for the leader Gubin. The other powerful experts were all dead, not a single heaven rank, and more than half of the earth rank knights were dead. The main reason was that these elites were all following Gubin, and when they were attacked by the short spears, these heaven rank and earth rank knights were the first to be attacked, and they were also the ones who died the most miserably. Leader. The other bandits all looked towards Gubin. Gubin clenched his teeth, and blood seeped out his teeth. He stared at the black, clothed young man in the distance. He did not expect that with just one round of short spears, his bent blade union's backbone would be completely wiped out. Dongbua Shui Ying, Gubin growled. The reason I came to the mountain range of desolation is to eradicate your bent blade union. The faint blood-red aura surrounding the black, clothed young man dissipated. Using the power bloodline was still very taxing on his stamina, and he immediately picked up the long spear that was stabbed into the ground. Whoosh! Dongbua Shui Ying turned into a blur and dashed towards the black, clothed young man. So fast. The bandits were all shocked. Let's kill him together. Kill! Gubin let out a crazed roar, and a layer of black chi appeared on the surface of his body. He held a scimitar in each hand and dashed towards the black, clothed young man, turning into a blur. Together, kill him. The bandits also started to follow their leader, and some took out their bows, while others prepared their hidden weapons. They were originally on the edge of a knife, and they were only scared by the flying short spears. If it was just a close combat fight, would they be afraid of a single person? Moreover, their leader Gubin was at the very front. Die! Gubin had long reached the peak of the meteor rank, and he was very experienced. His steps were like a ghost. When he got close to Dongbua Shui Ying, he drew an arc and wanted to get close to him from the side. The spear was a long weapon, and the moment he got close to Gubin, Gubin's chances of winning would increase by several times. Humph! Dongbua Shui Ying snorted coldly, and the spear in his hand suddenly shot out like an arrow. Dang, dang, dang. The spear moved as fast as lightning, and snowflakes fluttered in the air. This spear art was the first level of the mystic ice spear art, drifting snow. The spear art was fast, and the huge rotation of the spear art caught Gubin unprepared. He was originally proficient in speed, and at this moment, Dongbua Shui Ying's spear art was even faster. Gubin instinctively waved the scimitars in his hands and blocked 5 spear strikes consecutively. His body could not help but retreat. Every spear strike made him feel the threat of death, and he felt that he might not be able to defend at any time. Facing such a terrifying spear art, he did not even have time to think and could only rely on his instincts to defend. After continuously executing 5 spear strikes, Dongbua Shui Ying exerted strength from his waist, and the spear swept horizontally. Gubin immediately used the scimitars in front of him and blocked the spear shaft. At the moment when the spear shaft and the scimitars came into contact, pong! A terrifying impact passed through the scimitars into Gubin's body. Gubin's expression changed, and his body flew backwards uncontrollably. Like a sandbag, he crashed into the mountain wall, and a mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth. He was still holding the scimitars with both hands, but when his body crashed into the mountain wall, he saw stars and felt a cold light rushing towards him. Pooh! A spear, like lightning, directly pierced through Gubin's throat all the way to the mountain wall behind him and nailed Gubin to the mountain wall. Gubin's feet were almost half a meter above the ground. Gubin's eyes widened, and his eyes were filled with disbelief as he looked at the cold black, clothed youth in front of him. He did not expect that he, Gubin, who had roamed unhindered for so many years, would actually die in the hands of a youth? Goo, large mouthfuls of blood flowed out from his mouth, and gradually, his eyes became completely dull. Water Rights Town's #1 bandit, Scimitar Gubin, died just like that. The killer, Dongbua Shuang. Chapter 24. The bandits who wanted to join their leader in killing Dongbua Shuang were all shocked. Their leader died just like that. They had only exchanged a few moves, and he died too quickly. Pooh! Dongbua Shuang immediately pulled out his spear and looked at the bandits whose hands were covered in blood. Run! Run! All the bandits were terrified. They didn't even have a heaven-ranked knight among them. Even their leader, Gubin, could kill them all by himself. Not to mention that this young leader was even stronger than Gubin. Scum, you still want to run? Dongbua Shuang immediately rushed towards the bandits. Snowflakes fluttered in the air and blood splattered everywhere. It was as if the bandits were wantonly slaughtering ordinary civilians. Right now, these bandits were just as weak in front of Dongbua Shuang. The remaining 3 Earth-ranked knights were killed within 2 breaths of time. A large number of bandits' corpses were sent flying and fell to the ground. Run! Run! All the bandits had completely collapsed. The gap between them was too big. That spear was so powerful that they would lose their lives with just a touch. Not a single bandit could withstand a single move from Dongbua Shuang. Die! Die! Dongbua Shuang did not show any mercy towards the bandits of the Bent Blade Union. He killed them until they scattered in all directions. Dongbua Shuang knew that he was only one person. He couldn't kill every single one of them. In order to get rid of Water Rights Town's cancerous tumor, Dongbua Shuang first targeted the strong ones. He also killed all the knight-ranked ones. In just a short moment, all the bandits scattered in all directions. There were more than 200 corpses on the ground. The leader, heaven-ranked knight, earth-ranked knight, and the true backbone of the Bent Blade Union were all killed. The Bent Blade Union was destroyed just like that. As for those minions, perhaps some of the village guards would be able to stop them. Spare me, spare me. There were still 5 bandits who were forced into a corner by Zhong Ling. They didn't dare to move, because if they moved, they would all die. Snow Eagle, Zhong Ling laughed and said, "That's great. The Bent Blade Alliance is gone, just like that. I've searched the corpses of Gubin and some other experts. I found a lot of treasures, especially a storage treasure on Gubin." Dongbua Shuang was a little surprised. A storage treasure? This bandit is indeed very wealthy. Dongbua Shuang walked over. Here, Zhong Ling handed over a package. The package was filled with some gold notes issued by the Empire's banks. Obviously, as bandits, they lived day by day. Their treasures were usually carried with them. There was also a ring in the package. After Dongbua Shuang received the ring, he immediately sensed it. His Dou Qi flowed into the ring through his finger and washed the inside of the ring. Immediately, the ring and Dongbua Shuang had a connection. Knights and mages could use their Dou Qi and magic power to refine storage treasures. If it was an ordinary person, they would need the help of mages to refine it with their blood. Good fellow. After refining it, Dongbua Shuang was shocked. There were a lot of treasures inside, mainly gold notes, gold coins, weapons, and other miscellaneous items. However, the storage space was only 2 feet wide. It was much smaller than the storage pendant his mother had left for him. So many gold notes. Dongbua Shuang's spirit could clearly sense everything inside the storage space. The total value of the gold notes was 85,000 gold coins. There were also some miscellaneous treasures, totaling up to 90,000 gold coins. The other heaven-rank mages, knights, and bandits added up to more than 20,000 gold coins. Bandits are really rich, Dongbua Shuang thought. The 5 of you. Dongbua Shuang looked at the 5 fearful bandits. Lead the way to your lair. If you lead the way correctly, I'll spare your lives. If you lead the way wrongly, you'll all die. Yes, yes, yes. Lord, rest assured, we'll definitely lead the way. The 5 bandits immediately responded. The bandits nervously led the way. Dongbua Shuang and Zhong Ling followed behind. Uncle Zhong here. Dongbua Shuang handed the storage ring over to Uncle Zhong. How can this be? You were the one who got rid of the Bent Blade Alliance. These should belong to you. Zhongling immediately rejected. Ha! My mother has already given me the storage pendant. I don't need this. Dongbua Shuang said. But you can also give it to Qing Shi. Qing Shi will become a mage in the future. A mage will still need storage treasures. Zhongling shook his head. Dongbua Shuang lightly shook his head. It's still too early. Qing Shi will need at least a few years to learn from his teacher before he becomes a real mage. When that time comes, I'll give Qing Shi a better one. Uncle Zong, don't forget, we've gained a lot this time. Zhongling was startled, but then he smiled. That's right. This time, they had the Shadow Leopard and the Silver Moonwolf King. Plus, they had gotten over 100,000 gold coins from destroying the Bent Blade Alliance. They had indeed made a huge profit. All right. Zhongling didn't say anything else. He took the storage ring and easily refined it. Zhongling was startled. He found a large amount of gold notes and some gold coins in the storage ring. The gold notes were worth 50,000 gold coins. The Snow Eagle territory still has other expenses. Uncle Zong, take these 50,000 gold coins first. We'll talk about it when it's not enough. Dongbua Shuang said in a low voice. When we go back, I'll find an opportunity to slowly sell off the Silver Moon Wolf King's fur and the Shadow Leopard's carcass. The carcass of the Shadow Leopard was placed in the storage space. There was no air in the storage space. It was an absolute vacuum. Zhongling thought and nodded. The Snow Eagle territory's strength would continue to increase. Naturally, the expenses of the Snow Eagle territory would also gradually increase. Not long after, my lord, we're almost there. The 5 bandits were extremely respectful and obedient. One of the skinny bandits said, Our lair is in the belly of the mountain. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to see it even if they walked in front of the mountain. The passage into the belly of the mountain is very hidden. Lead the way. Dongbua Shuang held the spear in his hand and was always on guard. The 5 bandits advanced in a very practiced manner. However, Dongbua Shuang faintly felt a terrifying threat. It was as if a terrifying existence was hiding in the mountain ahead. Ever since he reached the realm of a spear grandmaster, his senses towards nature had become more and more mystical. For example, he could usually detect demonic beasts in advance. He could even detect bandits' ambushes in advance. What's going on? I don't feel any aura, but I can't suppress my fear. Dongbua Shuang felt his heart palpitate. He stopped abruptly and stretched out his hand to stop Uncle Zong. He looked at the mountain in front of him. The walls of the mountain were covered with moss. Snow Eagle, what's wrong? Zhongling was puzzled. Something's wrong. I don't feel good. Dongbua Shuang said in a low voice. Let's go. Let's go. Zhongling's expression changed. He didn't doubt it at all. So. The two of them immediately turned and left. My lord, the passage into the belly of the mountain is very hidden. It's hidden behind these rocks. My lord. Where are they? When the 5 bandits turned their heads, they discovered that Dongbua Shuang and Uncle Zong, who were originally following behind them, had already disappeared. He's gone. The young lord of the Snow Eagle territory has already left? Brothers, the Bent Blade Alliance is finished. Let's find some treasures and run for our lives. These bandits were very cunning. They quickly entered their lair. Whoosh, on the wall of the mountain that had stood for countless years, a huge face appeared. Its eyebrows, eyes, and mouth were formed by rocks. It had an aura of superiority. Its eyes looked at Dongbua Shuang and Zhongling, who were already a few li away. A puzzled expression appeared on the huge face. He can actually detect my presence? How powerful can a young man be? Maybe there's a human expert behind him. I need to find another place to monitor the humans. The huge face on the wall of the mountain quickly disappeared, and the mountain returned to normal. Boom! In the depths of the earth, a huge monster quietly left this place and moved to another place. Outside the mountain range of desolation, the camp. Dongbua Shuang and Zhongling ran out of the mountain range of desolation as fast as they could and arrived at the camp. We're finally out. Dongbua Shuang turned his head and looked behind him. His heart was still palpitating. Chapter 25. Snow Eagle. What did you discover? Although Ling trusted Snow Eagle, he was still confused. I don't know. Dongbua Ying shook his head. I just had a feeling that if we continue to stay there, we could lose our lives at any time. The Bent Blade Union has been in that mountain for so many years. Isn't it still fine? Ling was puzzled. That I don't know. Dongbua Ying smiled. Let's not care about that, Uncle Zong. Now that we have succeeded, it's time to go home. Yes, it's time to go home. Ling smiled happily. The two walked side by side to the camp. Inside the camp, there was a team of 100 soldiers from Snow Eagle's territory. Lord, Lord, the patrolling soldiers greeted respectfully. Soon, the captain of the team, Captain Yang Chung, came to greet them. Captain Yang Chung was surprised. Lord Ling, why are you back so early today? Normally, you would stay here until nightfall, but it's still early now. Dongbua Ying smiled. They had entered the mountain range of desolation early in the morning to kill the Silver Moon Wolf Pack, and after killing the Wolf King, they had returned. They had only been delayed by the Bent Blade Union, so there was still 1 to 4 hours before nightfall. Captain Yang Chung, Dongbua Ying, said, Uncle Zong and I are preparing to leave now and rush back to Snow Eagle's territory. You will continue to stay here and return tomorrow. Return to Snow Eagle's territory? Captain Yang Chung revealed a happy expression. Camping every day in the cold, how could it compare to the comfort of being in the castle? Yes, Ling said. Lord and I will return first. You must lead the soldiers well. Don't worry, Lord Ling. Captain Yang Chung patted his chest and promised. Soon, Dongbua Ying and Ling each rode a frost pony and began to rush back to Snow Eagle's territory. The frost magical beast colts had great stamina and endurance. Even though the Silver Moon Wolf King's fur weighed close to 1,000 pounds, the frost magical beast still maintained a relatively fast speed along the way. The horse they were riding on was a little tired, so Dongbua Ying exchanged horses with Ling so that the horse could rest. It was already dark. On the extremely flat and frozen road, the two frost ponies transformed into 2 gusts of wind as they galloped forward at high speed. We're almost there. Dongbua Ying saw a towering mountain in the distance. It was the mountain that was named after him and his brother, Snorrock Mountain. We're finally back. Ling also revealed a smile. At this time, Qing Shi should be having dinner. Dongbua Ying was in a good mood. He had achieved his goal of going to the desolate mountain range this time, and the rewards were even greater than he had expected. At the very least, there wouldn't be a problem with his younger brother becoming his disciple. 2 frost flying horses galloped on the mountain path. He continued to rush up the mountain path. His lordship, there were soldiers standing guard at the checkpoint of the mountain path. With a single glance, they recognized that the 2 frost flying horses were their lordship and manager Ling. They were extremely respectful. Without any obstructions, they galloped all the way to the gates of the castle. Open the gates. Dongbua Ying shouted from atop his horse. Ah, it's the Lord. The patrolling soldiers quickly recognized him. Quickly lower the drawbridge and open the gates of the castle. Young Master Qing Shi, the Lord has returned, the Lord has returned. Within the castle, there were also servants shouting as they quickly went to report. Rumble, the drawbridge was slowly lowered, and the gates of the castle were pushed open by the soldiers. When the gates were opened, Dongbua Ying glanced over from atop his horse and saw a boy wearing thick clothes that looked like a little bear galloping towards them. Big brother. Qing Shi's eyes lit up with excitement. Ha! Dongbua Ying got off his horse and handed it over to a nearby soldier. He immediately laughed as he watched Qing Shi gallop and carry his little brother. Although he was carrying the Wolf King's fur, which weighed almost 2,000 jin, Dongbua Ying was a powerful knight who could stand on his arms. How easy was it for him to carry his little brother? Big brother, you said that you would be back in 10 to 15 days. It's been a total of 18 days. Qing Shi hurriedly said. Including the time spent on the journey, it had indeed been 18 days. Sorry for the delay. Have you eaten dinner? Dongbua Shui Ying asked. I was just about to eat when I heard Big Brother returning. Qing Shi was excited, following which his eyes lit up. Big Brother, what kind of fur are you carrying? It's so beautiful, so white, and so soft. He even stretched out his hand to touch it. This fur isn't completely cleaned yet. When it's done, I'll let you play with it. Dongbua Shuang said. Come, let's go eat dinner. Carrying his little brother, he walked into the castle. At this moment, there was another person at the castle gate. It was the majestic lion man, Tong San. Tong San was grinning from ear to ear. He was really happy, seeing Zhongling and Shui Ying return, and even carrying the huge fur of the Silver Moon Wolf King on their backs. He knew that this trip would definitely be a great success. With his eyesight from many years of adventuring, he could immediately tell that the fur belonged to the Silver Moon Wolf King. An ordinary wolf wouldn't have such a big fur, not even this beautiful. Uncle Zong, Uncle Tong, let's go eat together. Dongbua Shuang said. Let's go together. Tong San and Zhongling also laughed. Ho ho, Big Brother's back. Being carried by Dongbua Shuang, Qing Shi cheered happily. On the other side, the backbone of the Bent Blade Union had been annihilated. There were heavy casualties. The remaining small fries naturally took the treasures from their lair and fled in all directions. After they escaped, the news of the Bent Blade Union being eradicated by the young leader of the Snow Eagle territory spread like wildfire. Late at night, Waterrights Town, Dragon Mountain Manor. Lord C and the white-haired old man, you two, stood outside the door of a house. The black-haired middle-aged man yawned. Half asleep, he casually said, You two, why did you wake me up in the middle of the night? Lord Cian, something big happened in our Waterrights Town. The white-haired old man whispered. Something big? What big thing? Lord Cian was puzzled. The Bent Blade Union has been annihilated. The white-haired old man said softly. Lord Cian was stunned. Bent Blade Union? The largest and most powerful group of bandits in Waterrights Town, led by the powerful meteor knight, Bent Blade Gubin, with a group of heaven-rank mages and knights. The Bent Blade Union had been annihilated? Is the news correct? Lord Cian couldn't believe it. The Bent Blade Union led by Gubin? The entire Bent Blade Union is very cunning. They would flee at the first sign of trouble. They were annihilated? Yes, it was the Bent Blade Union led by Gubin. The white-haired old man nodded. Even Gubin himself was killed. All of the Bent Blade Union's heaven-rank mages, earth-rank mages, and even the majority of the ordinary knights and mages were all annihilated. Moreover, they were annihilated by a single person. Who? Lord Cian asked. Is the young lord who is rumored to be obsessed with his spear. The white-haired old man said in a low voice. Dongbua Shuang. Lord Cian was shocked. A single person annihilated the entire Bent Blade Union? What kind of strength did he have? He was at least a meteor knight, maybe even a silver moon knight. Where's the detailed file? Lord Cian asked. Here it is. The white-haired old man immediately handed over the file. The news has just arrived. Our Dragon Mountain Manor has already captured a few ordinary bandits from the Bent Blade Union. Tomorrow, we will bring them to see the Lord. Lord Cian flipped through the file. He was no longer tired, and his whole body was extremely awake. Dragon Mountain Manor's intelligence network was the largest. The preliminary report had already recorded the situation at the time. If the information is true, then the current #1 expert of Waterrights Town is this young lord. Lord Cian whispered. I really can't imagine it. How old is he? The couple Dongbua Lai and Mo Yang Yu gave birth to an amazing son. Chapter 26. The morning of the second day. Waterrights Town by Yuan Ji's residence. The window was open, and the northern winter wind was bone-chilling, blowing into the empty, quiet room. Dressed in a loose white robe and barefoot, Great Wizard by Yuan Ji was sitting cross-legged in the quiet room, letting the cold wind blow, his face even turning red from the cold. What's wrong? Why would the test subject's body collapse? Bai Yuanji kept thinking about the problems he encountered during the night of experiments. Suddenly, teacher, The leader of the Snow Eagle territory is here to visit. A timid voice came from outside. Everyone knew that the great mage did not like to be disturbed in the morning when he was meditating. Of course, it was fine if he did not like it. When he was experimenting, it was absolutely forbidden to disturb him, unless something big happened. That young leader? Bai Yuanji was slightly stunned and a little confused. It had not been long since Dongbua Shuang visited him. Could it be that he had already obtained the Silver Moon Wolf King's heart or 50,000 gold coins? Quick, invite him in. Bai Yuanji immediately got up and went to the living room to welcome him. Bai Yuanji stood at the entrance of the living room to welcome him. A young man dressed in black, carrying a weapon box, walked over, causing Bai Yuanji to be secretly afraid. This young leader's aura was even more restrained, but a great mage's mental strength was strong, and how sensitive were their senses. He could completely feel the aura that seemed to be restrained, but was even more frightening. Great mage. Dongbua Shuang smiled. My lord, please. Bai Yuanji was also very polite. The two of them sat down. My lord, this time you came here. Bai Yuanji looked at Dongbua Shuang. Great mage, please take a look. Dongbua Shuang flipped his hand, and a metal box appeared in his palm. The metal box immediately emitted a faint, fishy smell. Dongbua Shuang handed the metal box over. Bai Yuanji immediately guessed what it was. His body trembled in excitement, and he quickly reached out to receive it. He gently opened it. Inside was the Silver Moon Wolf King's heart, and it was very fresh. It had only been a day since he killed the Silver Moon Wolf King, and it had been stored in the storage pendant without any air. This heart was extremely fresh. Silver Moon heart? I feel like it was harvested less than an hour ago. Bai Yuanji was excited. He wanted the Silver Moon heart more than the 50,000 gold coins, because even if he had 50,000 gold coins, he would only be able to buy some materials at most. But this heart of the Silver Moon could allow him to quickly complete a work that he had always wanted to complete. However, buying a fresh Silver Moon heart was something that could only be chanced upon. How could it be so coincidental that someone had gone to the mountain range of desolation and killed the Silver Moon Wolf King so quickly? He had already prepared everything for this experiment, but he had waited 8 years for the Silver Moon heart to no avail. If he hired someone to kill the Silver Moon Wolf King, he would be, and would be. If he, King, Mage, Ji said. Only then did Bai Yuan Ji suppress his ecstasy. Raising his head, he said, Lord, please be at ease. Since Lord has delivered the Silver Moon heart, I will give it to you. I, Bai Yuanji, will definitely do my best to teach your brother and accept him as my direct disciple. As long as his spiritual energy reaches the threshold, I can guarantee that he will be able to become a wizard. Since he had received such a treasure, he naturally had to do it well. I'll have to trouble you then, great master. Dongbua Shuang smiled. I wonder when my younger brother will be able to come over. Anytime, Bai Yuanji said as he took out a wooden tablet from his bosom. The wooden tablet had the word Bai on it. This is a keepsake. Your younger brother can bring this keepsake over. Dongbua Shuang nodded. He was not afraid that Bai Yuanji would act shamelessly. This Bai Yuanji would also not turn hostile after taking the treasure. After all, to be able to deliver a fresh Silver Moon heart in such a short period of time, it would not be difficult for him to secretly kill him. After all, the difficulty of killing a Silver Moon Wolf King was no less than killing a meteor-rank great wizard. I'll send my younger brother over after the new year. I'll be troubling you then. Dongbua Shuang put away the token and stood up. I'll take my leave too. Bai Yuanji also stood up to send him off. Watching Dongbua Shuang leave, Bai Yuanji held the metal box and thought to himself, this young lord said that he would deliver a Silver Moon heart or 50,000 gold coins within a month. Now that he has delivered it so quickly and the Silver Moon heart is so fresh, it's obvious that he just killed a Silver Moon Wolf King. Who killed it? The Snow Eagle territory does not have such a strong expert. Zhongling and Tong San were already famous, but they could not kill a Silver Moon Wolf King. Is it this young lord? Bai Yuanji guessed. He had seen Zhongling before. Although the 6-armed serpent demon Zhongling was an expert, he did not make him feel threatened. This young lord was the only one that he could not see through. Dongbo Shuang went to return the 10,000 gold coins he owed for buying the Feishueg godly spear. He then brought his subordinates and quickly returned to the Snow Eagle territory. He entered the castle through the main gate. Along the way, the soldiers and servants were incomparably respectful. Brother, you actually did not bring me to Water Rights Town this morning. Qingshi was on the 3rd floor of the castle, leaning on the railing as he looked down. When I left, you were still sleeping. Dongbo Shuang jumped, and with a whoosh, he landed next to his brother on the 3rd floor. He took out the token in his hand and handed it to his brother. Qingshi, look, what is this? Qingshi looked at the wooden token in confusion. Wooden token? What is it for? There's a Bai character on it? This is the token of the Great Mage by Yuan Ji. After the new year, you can go to the Great Mage and become his personal disciple. Dongbo Shuang said, Ah, the Great Mage is willing to accept me as his personal disciple. Aha! Qingshi was so excited that he shook his, but this is too good. Too good. But brother, does that mean that I won't be able to see you? Qingshi was a little reluctant. Haha, how far is Water Rights Town from here? You can come back to see me at any time, and I can also come back to see you. Dongbo Shuang laughed. Yes. Qingshi nodded his head. He had already read many books about mages left behind by his mother, and was also looking forward to his life as a mage. That afternoon, heavy snow was falling from the sky. As the northernmost province of the empire, snowy weather was all too common. Shuang was currently sitting cross-legged in his house, looking at the fluttering snow outside. After his spear techniques had reached the Great Master realm, even though he still had to spend 2 hours a day to cultivate, in reality, the purpose of cultivating was to stimulate the growth of his muscles and bones. Wanting to improve his spear techniques? At this time, what he needed was to comprehend the nature of heaven and earth. Using the nature of heaven and earth as his teacher, he needed to comprehend it. Master, there is someone outside who claims to be the Lord of Dragon Mountain Manor. He wants to pay his respects to Master. The servant outside was panting from running. Dragon Mountain Manor? Dongbo Shuang's eyes flashed. He knew some information about Dragon Mountain Manor. This was a very mysterious organization that spread throughout the entire empire. The position of the Lord of Water Rights Town's Dragon Mountain Manor was no less than that of the Lord of Water Rights Town. He immediately got up and rushed to the main gate of the castle to personally welcome them. Open the gate and let the honored guest in. Dongbo Shuang arrived at the main gate of the castle. The group of people blocked outside was led by a black-haired middle-aged man with an extraordinary bearing. Beside him was a white-haired old man, and behind them was a group of heaven-ranked night guards. Haha, I have long heard of the great name of Spear Demon Dongbo Shuang. Seeing you today, you are indeed extraordinary. The black-haired middle-aged man smiled. I am the Lord of Water Rights Town's Dragon Mountain Manor, Lord Xian. Greetings, Lord Xian. Dongbo Shuang was also very polite. Lord Xian, please come in. Dongbo Shuang and Lord Xian walked side by side, while the others followed behind. Lord Xian, why have you braved the snow to come here? Dongbo Shuang asked with a smile as he walked. My lord, you single-handedly eradicated the Bent Blade Union. Do you still want to hide such a big event? My lord, yesterday you carried the Silver Moon Wolf King's fur and ran for more than 900 li. Many people have seen it. Do you still want to hide the fact that you killed the Silver Moon Wolf King? Lord Xian asked with a smile. Dongbo Shuang was secretly surprised. Everything that he did yesterday, today Lord Xian seemed to know everything. Dragon Mountain Manor was really powerful. Of course, I came here today to deliver the bounty for killing the wanted criminal Gobin. More importantly, I came to deliver my Dragon Mountain Manor's Black Iron Order. Lord Xian said, Black Iron Order? Dongbo Shuang's heart slightly trembled. I have waited for this day. I have waited for too long. End of this chapter. Chapter 27. Inside the castle. Inside a pavilion in the corridor. Dongbo Shuang and Lord Xian sat opposite each other. A servant served them some snacks and hot tea. Zhongling, Tong San, Yu Tu, and the others were waiting in the corridor outside the pavilion. Lord Cian held the hot tea and gently took a sip while looking at the snow outside the pavilion. My lord, your place is quiet and comfortable. It's really a good place. The city is too noisy with people coming and going. Even when you sleep, you can hear the noise outside. Lord Cian smiled. When I retire, I will also find a quiet place to enjoy myself. Dongbua Shuang laughed. Many people want to be in a high position, but can't. High position? You are only the person in charge of a small county Dragonmount manor. What high position? Lord Cian said as he took out a small stack of gold notes. This is 800 gold coins. This is Gubin's bounty. Although it's not much, it still has to be paid. Dongbua Shuang took it. Criminals wanted by the Empire, generally only those who are at least our rank or those who have committed heinous crimes, would have a bounty. Ordinary bandits are not qualified to have a bounty on their heads. This is the Black Iron Order. Lord Cian took out a black token with the words Dragon Mountain on it. The citizens of the Empire, generally those who have reached the meteor rank, will receive this Black Iron Order. Meteor rank, Black Iron Order? Dongbua Shuang thought. There are two main types of tokens. Lord Cian casually said. One is the Black Iron Order, and the other is the Bronze Order. Those who have reached the meteor rank will receive the Black Iron Order, and those who have reached the legend rank will receive the Bronze Order. Above that is the Transcendent rank. Transcendent rank, that is the true strength of our Xia people and the entire empire. Of course, that is a completely different world, so there's no need to say more. Take this. This is the Black Iron Order that belongs to you. It is very useful. Lord Cian placed the Black Iron Order in front of Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang looked at it carefully. Other than the two words Dragon Mountain, there were some complicated runes on the black token. The runes were very natural and harmonious, and looked very beautiful. Cian casually flipped his hand and handed over a scroll. This is the Empire newspaper compiled by our Dragon Mountain Manor. It generally records some of the major events of the Empire and mainly introduces the details of the entire Azure River County. For example, you could kill a Silver Moon Wolf King and wipe out the entire Bent Blade Union. It will be recorded in the next issue of the Empire's newspaper. All the experts in the entire Azure River County will be able to read the newspaper. Oh, Dongbua Shuang picked it up and flipped through it. The entire newspaper had more than a dozen sheets of paper. There was only a single sheet of paper that recorded anything outside of the Azure River County. The rest were all about the Azure River County. Dragon Mountain Calendar, year 9623, 19th of November. On the third day of entering the mountain range of desolation, the 5th Division of the Azure River County encountered an awakened rank 6 magical beast, Dark Demon Bear. 2,000 men platoons were completely annihilated. Dragon Mountain Calendar, year 9623, 10th of November. Within the Azure River County's Flat Sky City, a transcendent appeared. It was a barefooted, white-haired old man dressed in rags. 5th of November. C-Clan and Zhang Clan united by marriage. The newspaper recorded all the important news of the Azure River County. It was so important that even the annual calendar was written. As for the interesting news, the newspaper was much more casual. Dongbua Shuang's eyes widened. It turned out that there were so many things happening in the Azure River County. Lord Cian, a transcendent, actually appeared in the Flat Sky City? Dongbua Shuang asked curiously. It only appeared for a moment before disappearing. Lord Cian laughed. Transcendent existences are high above the masses. What they pursue is different from what we mortals pursue. This kind of ascetic travel is quite common. Recording it in the newspaper is to let the various families pay attention to it. Don't offend a transcendent. Once offended, the sky would collapse. The entire family might even be destroyed. Dongbua Shuang nodded. That's right. Casually bullying a beggar on the side of the road, only to discover that the beggar was actually a transcendent. Wouldn't that scare him to death? Transcendent existences are extremely rare. In the entire 19 provinces of the Empire, there are only a few transcendents. Take our Azure River County, for example. Although it's quite big, there isn't even a single transcendent here. Lord Cian shook his head. This is the Empire's newspaper. It's a monthly publication. If you have nothing to do, you can read it often. This way, you can understand the big and small events of the Empire. You can also know which forces you cannot afford to offend. The newspaper is a source of amusement. Next, I'll give you more and more important. This is the second most important thing. It's 2 lists. Lord Cian's expression turned serious. With a flip of his hand, 2 books appeared in his hands. One book had a black cover with the words Dragon Mountain. The cover of the other book was blood red, and there was only a drawing of a blade dripping with blood on it. 2 lists? Dong Shuang curiously looked at them. This is the Dragon Mountain list, compiled by our Dragon Mountain Manor. The other is the Bloodshed list, compiled by the Bloodshed Tavern. Lord Cian said. Dong Shuang took the 2 thick books. First, he flipped open the Black Dragon Mountain list. On top of it was the ranking. From the first to the last, there were densely packed names with some simple introductions. The Bloodshed list, it's an assassin list. Lord Cian's words made Dong Shuang startled. Assassin list? Dong Shuang looked at the blood-red book. Yes, the Bloodshed Tavern's background is extremely mysterious. Even our Dragon Mountain Manor is unwilling to provoke them. In the entire Empire, there's a Bloodshed Tavern in every city. Lord Cian said, according to the actual achievements of the assassins, the Bloodshed Tavern compiled this list. The names on this list are almost all code names. After all, the assassins usually hide their identities. The other Dragon Mountain list is more authoritative and is valued by all the experts in the Empire. Lord Cian revealed a proud expression. The Dragon Mountain list is compiled by our Dragon Mountain Manor. It includes the top 3,000 bronze-ranked experts in the entire Empire's 19 provinces. Lord Cian said from the 1st to the 3,000, they're all carefully considered by our Dragon Mountain Manor. Based on their achievements and various other factors, they are ranked in detail. The entire Empire's 3,000-strong experts? Dong Ying's eyes lit up. Bronze rank. Only those with the strength of a legend rank are qualified to obtain a bronze list. There are 3,000 recorded on this list. There are only so many transcendents in the Empire, so there's no need to compile a list. Lord Cian said, as for those below the transcendent rank, they're only 1 step away from becoming transcendent. Among them, there are some who are brilliant and have strength comparable to a transcendent. Looking at the entire Empire, the number of legend ranks is relatively large. In the entire Azure River County, there are a total of 12 bronze-ranked experts. There are a total of 5 who can enter the Dragon Mountain list. Lord Cian said. Dong Shuang nodded slightly. The Dragon Mountain list has a limit of 3,000. Not every bronze-ranked expert can enter the list. Among these 5, the 5th is called Chongqing Zhe, ranked 2895 in the Dragon Mountain list. The 4th is called Zhang Yong, ranked 2822 in the Dragon Mountain list. The 3rd is called Dan Shun, ranked 1259 in the Dragon Mountain list. The 2nd is called Si Liang Hong, ranked 569 in the Dragon Mountain list. The 1st is called Xiang Peng Yun, ranked 525 in the Dragon Mountain list. Lord Cian easily reported the detailed rankings of these 5 people. Chapter 28. Lord Cian continued. Si Liang Hong is a legend rank mage who has lived for more than 500 years. It is reasonable to say that a normal mortal's lifespan does not exceed 200 years. However, Si Liang Hong successfully transformed herself into a blood demon, so her lifespan is very long. This old witch who has lived for more than 500 years, her strength is unfathomable. The Blood Demon Tower she cultivates and is filled with countless dangers. Even transcendents are unwilling to enter. The Sea Clan is also the #1 clan in the entire Azure River County. The governor of Azure River County, the general of the city guards, as well as the city lords of Water Rights Town, Wind City, and many other counties, almost 80 to 90% of them are from the Sea Clan. Many of the important positions are also held by the Sea Clan. In other words, in Azure River County, the Sea Clan covers the sky with one hand. Lord Cian said calmly. Dongbua Shuiying was shocked. The governor, the general, the city lords, so many important positions are held by the Sea Clan. The entire empire has always been like this. This is not the mortal world, but the world of transcendence. Lord Cian said, although Si Lianghong old, which is not a transcendent, she is close to one. She also has a good relationship with some of the transcendents, so she obtained the power to manage Azure River County. All the power is in the hands of the Sea Clan. So, if the Sea Clan says you're guilty, you are not guilty. If the Sea Clan says you're not guilty, you are not guilty. Dongbua Shuiying was shocked. Have you forgotten? Although your parents were nobles, weren't they also captured because of an imperial edict? Lord Cian said. Dongbua Shuiying's face slightly sank. Transcendents can issue decrees. Within a certain range, they can go beyond the law. Lord Cian said. The Mo Yang clan has a transcendent? Dongbua Shuiying asked. Saving his parents was something he had always pursued. There is a transcendent, but he is a pseudo-transcendent. Lord Cian said, this pseudo-transcendent strength is the lowest among the transcendents. I am afraid that Si Lianghong Old Witch or that Madman Xiang Pangyun's strength is comparable to the Mo Yang clan's transcendent. Pseudo-transcendent? Dongbua Shuiying was confused. The Mo Yang clan has a long history. The founder of the clan was an extremely powerful transcendent. However, after the death of that transcendent, the Mo Yang clan declined. Fortunately, they had a deep foundation. 10 years ago, a legend knight from their clan used some tricks to enter the transcendent realm. However, that was only the lowest transcendent realm. Some of the top legend knights could even defeat them. Dongbua Shuiying immediately remembered. He had read about the wood-chopping knight who had awakened his primordial bloodline. That woodcutter knight had killed a transcendent with a single swing of his axe when he was still a legend ranker. It was completely possible for a legend ranker to defeat a transcendent. When the woodcutter knight became a transcendent, he became even more invincible among transcendents and was honored as the strongest transcendent of that era. Transcendent matters are too far away. Lord Cian laughed. What I want to tell you is that you must never offend a legend ranker. Every single legend ranker possesses a terrifying strength. Si Lianghong and Xiang Pangyun are the two most terrifying existences in Azure River County. The two of them are the two skies of Azure River County. The Sea Clan is deeply rooted. Xiang Pangyun is an extremely terrifying madman. Lord Cian said. Madman? Dongbua Shuiying was puzzled. Yes, Lord Cian said. On the bloodshed list, there are very few people who reveal their real names. However, Xiang Pangyun is one of those who reveal his real name. He loves to kill, and because he always accepts a mission from the Bloodshed Tavern, killing is not a crime for him. Killing is not a crime for the Bloodshed Tavern's mission? Dongbua Shuiying was puzzled. You can also go to the Bloodshed Tavern to issue a mission. However, the bounty for the mission will be set by the Bloodshed Tavern. The Bloodshed Tavern will take 80% of the bounty, and the remaining 20% will be given to the killer. Lord Cian said, the bounty set by the Bloodshed Tavern will be based on the target's title, strength, background, and many other aspects. The price will be very high. Lord Cian lowered his voice. Let me tell you this. The Bloodshed Tavern has existed for tens of thousands of years in this world's history. It and the Temple of the Earth God are the two most ancient forces. Dongbua Shuiying nodded. There were gods in this world. The Temple of the Earth God was a temple that appeared not long after the birth of this world. Its history was almost the same as the history of this world. It was also the only temple that was recognized by the Empire. The others were all demons and demons. The Bloodshed Tavern only served the assassins, and it was also ancient. Lord Cian said, Xiang Pangyun is a terrifying madman, but it is very rare to meet him. Unless someone in the Bloodshed Tavern puts a bounty on your life. But the Sea Clan is different. The Sea Clan has infiltrated almost every aspect of the Azure River County, so it is very easy to meet someone from the Sea Clan. If you meet someone from the Sea Clan, you have to endure. After all, they can easily find a reason to capture you. Unless you have the strength of a legend ranker and obtain the Bronze Order. Lord Cian laughed. Then you will have a lot of power, and the Sea Clan has no right to deal with you. If you become a transcendent, the Sea Clan will tremble in fear in front of you. The premise is that you are a normal transcendent and not a pseudo-transcendent. The power of the Bronze Order. Dongbua Shui Ying asked curiously. Yes, this is what I want to talk about next. The Black Iron Order not only represents your identity, but also represents some special power. Lord Cian said as he turned his hand. A thick book and a file appeared in his hand. Lord Cian handed the file to Dongbua Shui Ying. The reason why we, the Xia people, can stand tall in this world is because of countless strong warriors. So a long time ago, a great master alchemist of the Xia people set the rules. Many things that require blood and sweat are divided into different levels for the strong warriors to carry out. If you succeed, you can obtain merit points. Merit points can be used to exchange for almost anything you want. Lord Cian handed another thick book to Dongbua Shui Ying. This is the exchange grimoire. From some common things like gold coins to many magical things. Even if you want to kill a transcendent or even become the emperor of the whole empire. As long as you contribute enough to the Xia clan and accumulate enough contribution points, you can also become an emperor. Dongbua Shui Ying was stunned. The rules set by the master alchemist of the Xia people were too domineering. If you have enough merit points, you can achieve anything. What about saving my parents? Dongbua Shui Ying couldn't help but ask. If you have enough merit points, you can destroy the Mo Yang clan with just a word, not to mention saving your parents. Lord Cian shook his head and laughed. Of course, everything needs merit points. It depends on how much merit you can achieve for the human race. These are all Black Iron level tasks. The merit points reward are very small. Do you want to destroy the Mo Yang clan with just these merit points? Even if you work hard for 10,000 years, you won't have any hope. Dongbua Shui Ying looked at the file. There are many tasks on it. For example, killing a certain bandit. The reward is 10 merit points. For example, entering the mountain range of desolation to find a special necklace. The reward is 50 merit points. Lord Cian looked at Dongbua Shui Ying and said, this Black Iron task list and the exchange grimoire are the most important. You can take a closer look. As long as you obtain more than 1,000 merit points, you will automatically be exempted from most laws. Only some of the Empire's iron laws cannot be violated. After all, even if a transcendent can violate most laws, there are still some iron laws that they cannot violate. 1,000 merit points? Dongbua Shui Ying was speechless. Killing Gubin, on the other hand, was only worth 10 merit points. Going to the mountain range of desolation to find the lost treasure was dangerous, time-consuming, and the result was not guaranteed. Only 50 merit points. How difficult would it be to gather 1,000 merit points? The reward for Black Iron level tasks are usually between 10 to 100 merit points. Lord Cian laughed. The lowest reward for bronze level tasks is 1,000 merit points. I want to ask, how can I save my parents? Dongbua Shui Ying asked. There are many methods in the exchange grimoire. Lord Cian said, but you have to find a method that costs the least amount of merit points. This way, I will immediately investigate the current situation of your parents through our Dragon Mountain Manners Intelligence Network. Based on the situation of your parents, I will find a way to save them. Dongbua Shui Ying couldn't hide his excitement. Okay, I will have to trouble Lord Cian. Please quickly investigate the current situation of my parents. Leave it to me. Because the Mo Yang clan is located in the eastern province, it will take a little more time. I estimate that in about a month, I will be able to investigate the current situation of your parents. When the time comes, I will help you find the easiest way to save them. Lord Cian said. Thank you. Dongbua Shui Ying's heart beat faster. Father, mother, how are you doing now? Okay, then I will take my leave. Lord Cian stood up. Every month, my Dragon Mountain Manor will send you a copy of the Empire's newspaper and a list of tasks. You can accept any task at any time and contribute to the Xia people. Chapter 29. Dongbua Shui Ying. Zhongling and Tong San stood at the entrance of the castle, watching as the Dragon Mountain Manor people left. Then they turned around and walked into the castle. Uncle Zong, Uncle Tong. The snow under Shui Ying's feet made creaking sounds as he said softly, I've also obtained this black iron order. It's time for you to tell me what happened to father and mother. Zhongling and Tong San looked at each other. Your Uncle Tong should tell you. He has always been with your mother, so he knows more details. Zhongling said, I only heard it from your mother. Snow Eagle. Tong San looked at the sky full of fluttering snow. I originally lived in a remote Lion Man tribe, but one day our tribe was targeted. A strong caravan wanted to capture us, and those who resisted were all killed. After we were caught, we were labeled as traitors and became slaves. Traitors? Dongbua Shuang was shocked. There were very few slaves in the empire. Only those who committed major crimes, such as commoners killing nobles or directly rebelling. Those who betrayed the entire empire. In short, only those who committed heinous crimes would become slaves. Don't be surprised. The empire has been around for more than 9,000 years and has long since decayed. Moreover, there are many powerful families that control the empire, so there are many shady things. As long as it is not out in the open, no one will take it seriously. Moreover, for a weak Lion Man tribe like ours, without any evidence, who will stand up for us? Tong San sneered. I became a slave, sold to the Mo Yang clan. The Mo Yang clan is a very strong clan in the Eastfield province. The Eastfield province's Bellfeather County is completely controlled by the Mo Yang clan. Moreover, this control has been going on for more than 1,000 years. Lion Man Tong San said our slaves were randomly given names Tong Da, Tong Air, Tong San, Tong Si, Tong Wu. I was one of them, Tong San. The young masters and misses of the Mo Yang clan came to choose, and I met your mother. Lion Man Tong San's face revealed a trace of a smile. Your mother was still young, only 13 years old, younger than you now. Dongbua Shui Ying silently listened at the side. Master is carefree, playing happily every day, not scheming against anyone, not even looking down on a slave like me. Even when I was injured by the subordinates of the other young masters of the Mo Yang clan, my master was so anxious that he cried, but he still stood up for me in anger. Lion Man Tong San looked up at the snowflakes in the sky. These are all trivial matters. I originally thought that I would live in the Mo Yang clan for the rest of my life. But who would have thought that when Master was 24 years old, the Mo Yang clan would forcefully arrange a marriage for Master? The other party of the marriage was an old man who was already 152 years old. 152 years old? Dongbua Shui Ying widened his eyes. His mother was only in her early 20s, and the other side was 152 years old? What kind of joke was this? It said that the clan is even more powerful than the Mo Yang clan, and is one of the top 3 clans in the East Domain province. The Mo Yang clan is shameless enough to send a young girl of their direct line of descent for marriage. Lion Man Tong San said, Master has never been wrong since she was a child. How could she bear such a thing? She took advantage of a chance to go out for a walk and quickly escaped. Escaped from Bellfeather County, and even escaped from the East Domain province. After a long journey, she finally arrived at the Tranquil Sun province. I followed Master, and thus began my adventuring career. Very quickly, I met Zhongling, and also your father, Dongbua Lai. Those adventuring years were really wonderful. Wandering between life and death, we entrusted our lives to each other. This is how our friendship was formed. Later on, your mother was worried that your father and the others would be implicated, so she revealed her own background. Lion Man Tong San said. Zhongling also nodded. Later on, we heard about the Mo Yang clan from your mother. We didn't even care about life and death. So why would we be afraid of the Mo Yang clan? Of course, we still roamed together. Later on, your father and master got together. Lion Man Tong San laughed. Even when she became pregnant and had you, she decided to stop adventuring and find a place to settle down. Thus, she came to your father's hometown, Azure River County. You know what happened next? We stayed in Azure River County peacefully for 8 years, but the Mo Yang clan still came and took your parents away. Dongbo Shui nodded lightly. So everything was like this. It was one thing for a big clan to forcefully arrange a marriage, but to actually arrange it for a 152-year-old man. Even for a legend ranker, being able to live to 200 years old was already an amazing feat normally. They would die at the age of 170 or 180. The Mo Yang clan is an ancient clan with over 1,000 years of history, and the clan rules are very strict. Lion Man Tong San said, "Your mother dared to run away, which is a violation of the clan rules. Naturally, the Mo Yang clan will punish her severely." I don't understand. Zhong Ling sneered. These big clans, don't they feel ashamed to sacrifice their clansmen like this? Or is it that the old men in charge of these big clans simply don't care about the younger generation? Zhong Ling, the Mo Yang clan has been around for over 1,000 years. How many clansmen are there? That's in the tens of thousands. Sacrificing one or two of the younger generation is nothing. Lion Man Tong San said. Dongbo Shui said coldly. If they are strong enough, there is no need to let the younger generation of the clan marry an old man who is already over 100 years old. If the clan is really ruined, then so be it. Using this kind of disgusting marriage to consolidate the clan's position, disgusting. It was not that he was standing on his mother's side, but Dongbo Shui indeed had such thoughts. If you are strong, then others will coax you. If you are weak, then let nature take its course and ruin it. There is no such thing as an everlasting clan. The Mo Yang clan has even sent out in order to capture your parents. How can we save them now? Tong San shook his head. You have contacted the Dragon Mountain Manor. Do you have any ideas? Zhong Ling asked. Tong San also looked at Dongbo Shui. There is no accurate information yet. Let's wait for another month. Dongbo Shui said. According to the clan's strength, in the whole empire, there were a total of 19 provinces, including the land provinces and the ocean provinces. For example, the Tranquil Sun province's strongest Eternal Wind Knight Chi Chio Bai's clan, that was the #1 clan in the Tranquil Sun province. Their influence could practically influence the entire province. This was the first-class clan in the empire. For example, the Azure River County Sea clan. For example, the East Province's Bellfeather County's Mo Yang clan was a clan that controlled county. The Sea clan's strongest Si Liang Hong was a legend rank, mage whose body had turned into a blood demon. The Mo Yang clan's strongest was a pseudo-transcendent. This kind of clan that controlled a county could only be considered a second-rate clan in the empire. My current Dochi is only at the Earth rank knight level. With the power of my primordial blood meridians and my spear arts, I have the strength of a silver moon knight. Dongbo Shui thought to himself. In the future, I can definitely surpass Si Liang Hong, surpass that pseudo-transcendent. Just like the woodcutter knight who had awakened his primordial blood meridians, he had killed a transcendent with a single swing of his axe. This was what he wanted to achieve. If he had such strength, perhaps even without him saying anything, the Mo Yang clan would obediently lower their heads and send his parents back. I wonder how father and mother are doing right now. Dongbo Shui was also very anxious. He was very worried about his parents' current situation, worried that something had happened to them. If something really happened, Dongbo Shui didn't even dare to think about it. He only knew that he would definitely make the Mo Yang clan regret. In another month, there will be news from Dragon Mountain Manor. Dongbo Shui could only suppress his anxiety. Time passed day by day. Half a month later, his younger brother's teacher, Bai Yuanji, actually came to Snorra Castle. Great mage, why have you come? If there's anything, just send someone to pass the message. Dongbo Shui personally greeted him at the castle gates. Haha, so the Silver Moon Wolf King was really killed by you, my lord. I had suspected it before, But now the entire Water Rights town has heard that the Bent Blade Union coveted your silver moon wolf king fur, and in the end, they were destroyed by your spear. Now, everyone is saying that you are our Water Rights town's #1 expert. The white-robed elder by Yuan Ji said with a smile. Behind him, a group of disciples looked at Dongbua Shui Ying with curiosity and nervousness. Chapter 30. Haha, the great mage is too kind. Please come in, let's sit down and chat. Dongbua Shuang laughed. All right. Bai Yuanji did not dare to treat Dongbua Shui Ying as a youth. Because at such a young age, he was already able to kill the Silver Moon Wolf King, which was protected by a pack of wolves, and was recognized as Water Rights Town's #1 expert. After a few more years, he could definitely step into the legend rank and become an influential figure in the entire Azure River County. With a stomp of his feet, the entire Azure River County would tremble. Moreover, it was said that this Dongbua Shui Ying was obsessed with the spear. In the legends of many transcendents, there were some who were obsessed with painting, forging weapons, or staring blankly at the sky every day. Suddenly, they would wake up and step into the transcendent realm. Since young, he has been so crazy, and now he is so strong. In the future, it is entirely possible for him to step into the legend rank. Who knows when he will step into the transcendent realm? Bai Yuanji secretly muttered. Of course, this was just a random thought. Of those crazy people who tried to comprehend the heavens and earth, only a few could become transcendents. The two of them walked side by side. After entering the living room, they sat down. Zhongling and Tong Sen also accompanied them. When I heard the news from outside, I was still in shock. In just 2 to 3 moves, you killed the infamous Gubin. You even caused the entire Bent Blade Alliance to collapse. I, Bai Yuanji, have lived for so long, but I have only heard of the proud sons of some great families who are so powerful at such a young age. Seeing it with my own eyes is the first time I have seen it. Bai Yuanji smiled. Did the great mage come here today just to praise me? Dongbua Shuang said. He did not care about those proud sons and daughters of the great clans who used large amounts of resources to cultivate them. He was also not arrogant, because his goal had always been to become a transcendent. Compared to the great transcendents recorded in the legends, he was still very ordinary. Ha! I came here today because I have something to ask of the Lord. Bai Yuanji said. Great mage, please speak. If I can help, I will naturally do my best. Dongbua Shuang said. It's like this. My mansion in Water Rights Town is often disturbed by some nobles. I can't stand it. Bai Yuanji sighed. Moreover, there are some other mages who are interested in some of my research, so there are often some thieves who want to steal some of my results. Because of the silver moon heart that you gave me, my research has finally reaped great rewards. I, too, am afraid of many little troubles. Therefore, I plan to move away from Water Rights Town. Move out of Water Rights Town? Dongbua Shui Ying was surprised. Then, great mage, have you chosen a place to live? His younger brother was going to learn from a master. Haha, aren't we here to beg the Lord? I want to choose a place on your Snorrock Mountain and build a small house to live in. Bai Yuanji laughed. My lord, this place of yours is secluded, and it is also at the top of a mountain. On the mountain road, one man can hold the pass against 10,000 enemies, and there are also many checkpoints. It would be difficult for some small thieves to enter. As for the nobles, those who take the trouble to travel hundreds of miles to come to my place are much rarer. It's just that I am a bit ashamed to disturb the Lord. Bai Yuanji said. Dongbua Shuang and Zhongling looked at each other. The two of them understood each other's thoughts. Haha, that's exactly what I want. My Snow Eagle territory also has a great mage overseeing it. It is my Snow Eagle territory's good fortune. Dongbua Shuang laughed. Snorrock Mountain has many peaks, and there are many empty places. Great mage, you can choose any place you want. Bai Yuanji revealed a happy expression. He knew that he had a high chance of success, but since Dongbua Shuang agreed, he was still very happy. I will shamelessly choose one of the nearby peaks. No problem. Great mage can start building at any time. If you need my help, just say the word. Dongbua Shuang said, "Building a small house is very easy. Among my disciples, there are some who specialize in earth magic." Bai Yuanji smiled. "Building a castle, building a majestic city. How difficult would it be to rely on mortals to chisel huge rocks and move them? As for those who specialize in earth magic, a powerful spell would naturally split the earth, and countless huge rocks would condense, making the construction much faster. For example, Dongbua Shui Ying's Snorok Castle was originally built by other mages. Although his mother was a heaven-rank mage, she did not specialize in earth magic. Dongbua Shui Ying and Zhongling both stood in front of the railing and looked into the distance. Looking past the castle walls, they could see that on a mountain peak a few li away, a stone building was rapidly being built. Under the effect of magic, the surrounding soil and rocks quickly turned into flat boulders. The boulders flew up and began to build. Furthermore, the walls were glowing with water and flames, and the walls became smooth. Great Mage Bai Yuanji also began to carve some arrays on the surrounding walls. Snow Eagle, this Bai Yuanji coming here, will he bring us any trouble? Zhongling was a little worried. Don't worry, this Bai Yuanji has stayed in Water Rights Town for so many years and has not encountered any trouble. If he comes here, there won't be any trouble. Dongbua Shuang laughed. Even if there is trouble, it won't be too strong. If it's a legend ranker who comes looking for trouble, it's useless for him to come here. As long as it's not a legend ranker, there's nothing to worry about. Zhongling nodded. At this moment, Dongbua Shui Ying's mood was extremely good, because with the great mage living here, Qing sure wouldn't need to leave his side to learn magic. Snorok Mountain had many peaks. On the main peak was Snorok Castle, and a few li away was the great mage's building. On the other side of Snorok Mountain, 5 li away from the great mage's building, and 3 li away from the castle, on one of the secluded peaks, there was a newly built bamboo building. This bamboo building was personally built by Dongbua Shuang. As a master who had perfect control over his power, the bamboo building was very beautiful. From today onwards, I will spend most of my time in the bamboo building at the back of the mountain. Dongbua Shui Ying said to Zhongling, Tong San, and Qing Shi, I'll have to trouble Uncle Zone with regards to the territory. If there's anything important that requires my help, you can look for me. Okay. Zhongling nodded. Brother, don't you feel bored living in the bamboo building from now on? Qing Shi couldn't help but ask. Haha, it's not boring. Dongbua Shuang laughed. This was the idea he had after reaching the realm of Spear Grandmaster. After reaching the realm of Spear Grandmaster, he was able to sense the aura of nature more clearly. The growth of the grass, the heaviness of the earth, the agility of the wind, the fluttering of the leaves, everything made him feel amazed. After so many years, he didn't realize that nature was actually so beautiful. To him, living in a secluded bamboo building was a kind of enjoyment. Training in spear arts, there were different paths. For example, some soldiers had an ordinary foundation. They trained in life and death situations and discovered many flaws in their spear arts. Then, they constantly improved and perfected it. Eventually, they reached the realm of one with the spear and became a spear grandmaster. In the end, they still had to walk on the path of nature as their teacher. Dongbua Shuang was different. He didn't like to force himself in life and death situations. Instead, he spent his time training to discover his own flaws and perfecting them. This kind of incomparably solid foundation could only be achieved by cultivating crazily and crazily. This allowed his spear arts foundation to be incomparably solid. Naturally, he stepped into the realm of one with the spear. During the battle with the shadow leopard, he was forced to the realm of one with the spear. Actually, even if he wasn't forced to a life and death situation, he would have naturally broken through in a year or two. Dongbua Shuang was more inclined towards this kind of accumulation, rather than taking risks in life and death situations. Brother, I'll come and find you often. Is that okay? Qing Shi asked. Haha, anytime. If there's nothing, I'll come and find you. Dongbua Shuang laughed and teased. Zhongling looked at Dongbua Shuang, who was dressed in black, and sighed inwardly. Using nature as his teacher? It was easy to say, but without reaching the realm, he couldn't even touch the edge. From then on, Dongbua Shueying began to live in the secluded bamboo building behind Snowrock Mountain. He began his days of fetching water, chopping wood, cooking, drinking spring water, meditating beside the spring, and practicing his spear arts in the bamboo forest. Monday, please give me a recommendation. I only need a few seconds. Chapter 31. The news that the Great Mage by Yuanji lived in Snowrock Mountain quickly spread throughout the water rights territory. Snowrock Mountain, on the mountain road. Stop! There was a checkpoint on the mountain road. Not everyone could enter Snowrock Castle. A group of soldiers watched as a group of young men and women arrived at the checkpoint. These young men and women were dressed simply and had an ordinary temperament. With one glance, one could tell that they were ordinary civilians. "What are you doing?" A soldier shouted. "Big brothers." A beautiful young woman said, "We heard that the Great Mage lives on Snowrock Mountain. Therefore, we wish to see the Great Mage and become his disciple." "That's right. Big brothers, please make an exception and let us see the Great Mage," these young men said. They were all very young and full of hope for the future. How high was the status of a mage? They also wanted to become a mage. The captain in charge of this checkpoint, a thin, middle-aged man, sneered. "Little brats, let me ask you, do you have the talent to be a mage?" "I don't know. When the Great Mage sees us, he will know if we have the talent or not," these young men and women said. "What a joke." The thin, middle-aged man sneered. "How precious is the Great Mage's time? How could he easily see you? Moreover, you don't even know if you have the talent to be a mage. Do you think the Great Mage will let you check one by one? Maybe one of us has a high talent and is loved by the Great Mage," a girl immediately said. All right. The middle-aged soldier shook his head. "Let's go. These days, I have seen many of you young people who love to dream. Young people see the reality. In order to learn Do Chi, I joined the army and experienced many life and death situations. Who do you think you are? Why would the Great Mage accept you as his disciple? To tell you the truth, the Great Mage has already ordered that he will not see any guests. He will not even meet the nobles, let alone you," the middle-aged soldier said. These young men looked at each other helplessly. These guards were loyal to their duty and did not let them in. No matter how they begged, it was useless. Not long after, a carriage flew over. Behind the carriage was a large group of cavalry. The carriage was magnificent and was faintly inlaid with arrays. No matter how fast the carriage flew, the carriage was incomparably stable. "Stop!" Snow Eagle soldiers continued to shout. "We are from the Chow family of Yunki territory. Our master wants to visit your lord," the coachman said. "Yunki territories, Chow clan?" The soldiers looked at each other. There weren't many big clans in Water Rights Town. The Chow clan of Yinshui territory could barely be ranked in the top 10. When the Snow Eagle territory was weak, the Chow clan was weaker. Now that Dongbua Shueying was recognized as the #1 expert in Water Rights Town, the gap between the Chow clan and Dongbua clan was even wider. No more than 10 soldiers can go up the mountain. The captain of the soldiers, a thin, middle-aged man, said, "This is an order from a lord. Please understand." "This." The coachman hesitated. "All right, Old Pan, the 5 of you follow me up the mountain. The rest of you stay here." A voice came from the carriage. "Yes." The 5 powerful knights with extraordinary auras followed the carriage and passed through the checkpoint to go up the mountain. "We're also going to pay a visit to the Lord. Let's go up the mountain." Among the young men and women who were unwilling to stay, a girl immediately said loudly, "Pay a visit to our Lord? The great magician doesn't want to see you, but our Lord wants to see you?" The thin, middle-aged man shook his head and sneered. "All right, just give up." Before the new year, Snow Rock Castle was unprecedentedly lively. There were some commoners who wanted to try their luck, but there were also many nobles who came to visit. Because the great magician didn't want to see any guests, they went to visit Dongbua Shueying. They wanted to ask Dongbua Shueying for help, and let the great magician accept a disciple. They felt that, since the great magician lived here, he must give some face to the Lord Dongbua Shuang. But Dongbua Shuang also didn't want to see any guests. Zhongling helped to block them. In the morning, a male servant ran to the bamboo building at the back of the mountain, but the bamboo building was empty. He couldn't see Dongbua Shuang at all. Sir Lord, Sir Lord, the serving man shouted loudly. The sound spread. Halfway up the back of the mountain, a mountain spring rushed down from a high place and smashed into the pool below. The stream meandered into the distance. On a big rock next to the pool, Dongbua Shuang listened to the sound of the mountain spring. He was practicing a set of fist technique, which was the Do-Chi technique, 3-stage flame technique. When practicing, all the power in his body surged. Each of Dongbua Shuang's moves was coordinated and beautiful. The power in every part of his body was perfectly mobilized, naturally attracting the power of fire between heaven and earth. The power of fire between heaven and earth was constantly absorbed into his body and transformed into fire Do-Chi. Breathe, breathe. Every move, every breath, Dongbua Shuang felt as if countless flames were drilling into his body. His body was absorbing the power of the outside world and becoming stronger. He had just awakened his primordial bloodline not long ago. Whether it was Do-Chi or his body, they were all growing rapidly. The reason why Dongbua Shuang practiced his fist technique was to perfectly control every bit of power that was growing rapidly. Lord, a voice could be heard from afar. Dongbua Shuang stopped and looked up. I don't meet those nobles. Why are they looking for me? Dongbua Shuang was puzzled. He casually picked up the Feishua spear beside him. So. Shuang turned into a mirage. If a normal person were to look at him, they would only see a shadow flashing by before Shuang disappeared from their vision. This was the terrifying speed of an expert. Swoosh! A shadow flashed in front of the bamboo house, and Dongbua Shuang appeared. What's the matter? Dongbua Shuang asked. The male servant was shocked by the sudden appearance of his lord. Upon hearing his lord's question, he hurriedly said, It's Master Zongling's order. He said that the old lord's good friend, Master Kong Hai, is here. He wants to invite you over. Uncle Kong? Dongbua Shuang nodded lightly. Other than Uncle Zong and Uncle Tong, his father didn't have many good friends. His grandfather had fled to Water Rights Town because of a famine. Because his grandfather was an outsider, he was isolated and bullied in the village. After he lost his life hunting in the mountains, his father joined the army without any worries. In the end, he cultivated Do-Chi and retired from the army to continue adventuring between life and death. His father only had a few friends in the army. Because his father had been adventuring for too long, they didn't have much contact with each other. Only Kong Hai would visit him often. When he was young, Kong Hai had seen him many times. Later on, when his parents were captured, Kong Hai had come to visit him once. Every year, he would send people to deliver New Year's gifts. Dongbua Shuang would also send people to return the gifts. However, since his parents weren't here, Kong Hai hadn't personally visited for a long time. Haha, Snow Eagle. It's been a few years since we last met. Snow Eagle is already the #1 expert in our Water Rights Town. Amazing. A fat middle-aged man stood up and laughed when he saw Dongbua Shuang walk in. Uncle Kong Hai. Dongbua Shuang smiled and nodded his head. Kong Hai secretly regretted. After he retired from the army, he became a businessman. He was slick and had many friends. Dongbua Lai was only one of his many friends. After Dongbua Lai and his wife were captured, he came to Snorrock Castle once to comfort the young Dongbua Shuang and his brother. After that, he didn't come again. But as a businessman, he always sent people to deliver New Year's gifts to maintain their friendship. In fact, every year, he would send a large number of New Year's gifts to his friends. Some of his more important friends, he would personally visit them. Previously, he didn't care much about the 2 sons left behind by his old friend. But who would have thought that this Dongbua Shuang would be able to single-handedly destroy the terrifying Bent Blade Union? This was simply unimaginable. Come, you, greet your brother Snow Eagle. The chubby Kong Hai pulled the hand of a girl dressed in green. Brother Snow Eagle. The girl dressed in green was a little shy. You, Dombo Shuang smiled. You're already so old. I saw you when you were a child, but I'm afraid you don't remember. You were only 4 or 5 years old at that time. He had seen Kong Yu when he was a child. Kong Yu was Kong Hai's eldest daughter. She was younger than Dombo Shuang by 3 years. Today, I came to trouble you, Snow Eagle. Kong Hai smiled. Yu has the talent to become a mage. I want her to become the great mage's disciple. She only needs to become his disciple. I have also brought the 5,000 gold coins needed to become the great mage's disciple. But the great mage has so many disciples. An ordinary disciple. I'm afraid the great mage won't care too much. I want Snow Eagle to help. This way, the great mage will definitely value you more. Oh, this is just a small matter. Uncle Kong Hai, don't worry. Dombo Shuang nodded his head. The great mage wanted money to be his disciple. Direct disciple, 50,000 gold coins. Unofficial disciple, 5,000 gold coins. Of course, there was a limit to the number of disciples. But 50,000 gold coins. To the nobles of Water Rights Town, it was a sky-high price. Until now, only Dombo Shuang had satisfied the great mage by giving him the Silver Moon Wolf King's heart. 5,000 gold coins for an unofficial disciple was already a very high price. Many nobles wanted to plead through Dombo Shuang in order to save some gold coins. But Kong Hai had actually prepared 5,000 gold coins. That Dombo Shuang only needed to say a few words. This was indeed a small matter. In the future, Yu will follow the great mage to learn magic. She will live in Snorrock Mountain for a long time. I hope that Snow Eagle can take care of her. Kong Hai said, No problem. There are many houses in the castle. I will leave one for Yu. Dombo Shuang said. He often cultivated in the bamboo house behind the mountain. This kind of matter could be arranged with just a few words. Ha ha! Speaking of which, I once told your father that if you 2 children get along well, I would let you 2 get married. Kong Hai laughed. Father, Yu's face turned red. It still depends on your own wishes. At that time, your parents also said the same thing. They won't force you. Kong Hai said with a smile, If I had a son-in-law who is Water Rights Town's #1 expert, haha, my mouth would be crooked from laughing. Father, that's enough. Yu couldn't bear it anymore. She was still young, and her skin was thin. Kong Hai looked at his daughter with a smile. In the past, when he chatted with Dombo Lai and his wife, they did talk about marriage. However, Dombo Lai and his wife said that it depends on the child's wishes. But now he brought up again. It was because he was very optimistic about Dombo Shuang. He hoped that his daughter and Dombo Shuang would become husband and wife. If it really happened, his Kong family status would also rise. He didn't even care about the great mage by Yuan Ji. Apprentice? He was a businessman. His daughter could just choose a heaven-rank mage as her teacher. Why would she spend 5,000 gold coins to learn from the great mage? This 5,000 gold coins was not for the great mage. It was for Dombo Shuang, because the great mage lived in Snorrock Mountain. He wanted his daughter to live in Snorrock Mountain and spend time with Dombo Shuang. After a long time, his daughter and Dombo Shuang would be together. A businessman had to have a long-term vision. He knew when to invest. Kong Hai was a retired soldier and was able to become a famous businessman. He was very capable. On the same day, Dombo Shuang personally introduced Kong Yu to the great mage by Yuan Ji. After receiving the 5,000 gold coins, by Yuan Ji smiled happily and promised to nurture Kong Yu well. That night, Kong Hai left and entrusted Dombo Shuang to take care of Kong Yu. Actually, Dombo Shuang was not young anymore. He was intelligent since young. He could completely see through Kong Hai's thoughts. This was also because Kong Hai deliberately exposed himself towards this little sister, Yu, whom he had met when she was young. Shuang really did not have any feelings for her, because the current Yu is still very young. After the new year, she would only be 13 years old. Her body had not fully developed yet, and she was just an inexperienced little girl. Xiao, Wah. The spear danced. Dongbua Shui Ying lived alone in the bamboo house at the back of the mountain. He practiced his spear art. The spear whistled. Fei Shui's godly spear naturally attracted snowflakes. The figure of the black-clothed youth was indistinct in the snowflakes. His figure and the spear seemed to be one. Snow Eagle, Snow Eagle. Lion Man Tong San personally rushed over, taking large strides, trampling on some of the frozen snow, causing the ice to crack. Uncle Tong, Dongbua Shui Ying put away his spear. Lord Si In of Dragon Mountain Manor is here. Tong San said. Dongbua Shui Ying's eyes lit up. Finally, there was news of his parents? Let's go. Dongbua Shui Ying did not bother to change his clothes. He immediately rushed to the castle with Tong San. Chapter 32. Entering through the castle's back door, Dongbua Shui Ying's body was like a phantom as he returned to his room in the castle's main building. Putting down the Fei Shui spear, he quickly went downstairs to the living room. Inside the living room, Zhongling was receiving Lord Si in. It's only been a month, but there's already a mage's tower on Snorrock Mountain. Lord Si held a cup of hot tea. Our water rides town's most powerful knights and mages are all gathered on Snorrock Mountain. It's just water rides town, nothing more. Compared to some of the powerful masters in the outside world, it's not worth mentioning. Zhongling smiled. Who? With a gust of wind, a black-clothed youth walked in. Lord Si turned his head and his eyes lit up. He immediately got up and smiled. Lord. Lord Si and Dongbua Shui Ying said, No need to be polite, please sit. After sitting down, Dongbua Shui Ying immediately asked, Lord Si, about my parents' situation, you have to believe in our Dragon Mountain Manor's intelligence. It's #1 in the world. Lord Si said, But I have to remind you, you have to calm down. Calm down? Dongbua Shui Ying felt a nod in his heart. Beside him, Zhongling's complexion also changed. Please speak. Dongbua Shui Ying said calmly. Lord Si understood that this young lord's heart was certainly not calm. He secretly sighed and directly said, Your mother's situation is not bad. She is a direct descendant of the Mo Yang clan, and her brother, Mo Yang Chun, is the youngest Silver Moon mage in the clan. Therefore, your mother is only locked up in a forbidden area of the Mo Yang clan, Thundertide Shore. Although she is lonely, she doesn't have to worry about food and drink. She can also concentrate on studying spells. I heard that your mother has even broken through to the meteor level. I use innate talent has always been good. She is indeed the first among us to break through to the meteor level. Zhongling nodded slightly. What about my father? Dongbua Shui Ying was worried. If his mother was fine, then what about his father? Your father. Lord Si hesitated. Your mother was unwilling to accept the marriage arranged by the family and fled the family. Afterwards, the Mo Yang family chose another outstanding daughter to marry. This girl's father is called Mo Yang Chun Bai. In the past, Mo Yang Chun Bai was unable to protect his daughter. Ever since his daughter got married, he has been bitterly training for 20 years. Now, he has reached the Silver Moon Knight rank. Furthermore, with the help of his family's refiner armor, he can display the strength of a legend ranker. Our Dragon Mountain Manor has also gifted him a bronze order. Mo Yang Chun Bai is still brooding over what happened in the past. He also resents your mother. He believes that it was your mother who ran away that caused his daughter to marry an old man. Lord Si said, How can you blame my mother? After my mother escaped, the one who married off her daughter, isn't it the Mo Yang clan's higher-ups? Dongbua Shui Ying said angrily. He doesn't dare to challenge the authority of the clan leader, so he can only vent his anger on your mother. Lord Si said, Your mother is under your uncle's protection, and she's imprisoned in the forbidden Thundertide Cliff, so he can't do anything. But your father is forced to do hard labor. Mo Yang Chun Bai vented his resentment on your father. Dongbua Shui Ying's complexion turned ashen. His fingers gripped the armrest so hard that they began to sink into the wood. Your father was sentenced to 100 years of hard labor in the Mo Yang clan's East Fragrant Lake refiner workshop. Mo Yang Chun Bai often arranged for people to torture your father. Moreover, he had the mages in the workshop cure your father time and time again. This way, your father won't die. Lord Cian said, if it weren't for the mage's treatment, I'm afraid your father wouldn't even be able to endure 3 years in the refiner workshop. Pung. Dongbua Shui Ying's fingers finally broke the armrest. Dongbua Shui Ying's eyes were filled with killing intent. Damn it, damn it. In his memory, his father was like a towering mountain, or it was his father who strictly trained him, or his father who doted on him. Mo Yang Chun Bai. Mo Yang clan. Dongbua Shui Ying's whole body surged with blood, and a fierce aura emitted from his body. Zhongling was also angry, and his face was ugly. Although Lord Cian's words were very simple, but they could all hear that the hard labor was torture, and they even specially sent people to torture him. Even with Dombua's fierce Heaven Knight body, he couldn't withstand it, and needed mages to cure him. Dombua's chest was burning with anger, and his anger was surging. Mo Yang Chen Bai, if I don't kill you, I swear I'm not a man. Dongbua Shui Ying's heart was burning with killing intent, but there were outsiders nearby, so Dongbua Shui Ying would not directly shout these words out. Shouting was useless. It had to be done. What about the Mo Yang clan? What about Mo Yang Chun? Are they just going to watch him torture my father? Dongbua Shui Ying said, the Mo Yang clan doesn't care about your father's life or death. As for Mo Yang Chun, although he asked someone to take care of your father, it's useless. First, Mo Yang Chun has to concentrate on studying magic, and second, Mo Yang Chun Bai was able to obtain the Bronze Order, so his status in the clan is no less than Mo Yang Chen's. Moreover, he specially sent people to torture your father. Mo Yang Chun can't always protect your father, right? Lord Cian said, not to mention, Mo Yang Chun has feelings for his sister, but he doesn't have any feelings for your father. Dongbua Shui Ying listened and gritted his teeth. He understood. He understood all of this, but he was filled with hatred, and he really couldn't accept it. How can I save my parents? Dongbua Shui Ying asked. According to our investigation, the Mo Yang clan's rules are extremely strict, and no one can violate them. Moreover, your mother is locked up in the Forbidden Area, and your father is also in the family's East Fragrant Lake Alchemy Workshop. Outsiders simply cannot enter, and there is no way to save your father. Lord Cian said, opportunistic methods are hopeless. What if we don't use opportunistic methods? Dongbua Shui Ying asked. The easiest way is to give your father the title of Honorary Marquis. Lord Cian said, the title of Marquis is extremely high, and even transcendents with special privileges can't be captured. Directly imprisoning or killing a Marquis, that pseudo-transcendent of the Mo Yang clan can't bear the consequences. Marquis, this was a rather special title, because the title of Earl and Baron below the Marquis rank could be easily bought with money, but a Marquis couldn't. Even a Marquis was very rare. Under normal circumstances, only one clan could give birth to a transcendent. A transcendent can appoint one member of the clan to become a Marquis, and this title can be inherited for 1,000 years. After 1,000 years, it would naturally be demoted to an Earl. So, generally, a Marquis was the nominal leader of a transcendent clan. As for the transcendent, there was no need for a title. Therefore, a Marquis was forbidden to be imprisoned, killed, etc. Pseudo-transcendents didn't have the qualifications. Even if a real transcendent did, they would have to pay a huge price. The title of Honorary Marquis was not hereditary. Generally, only those who made great contributions to the empire could receive the title of Honorary Marquis. The power was similar to that of a hereditary Marquis, but it couldn't be hereditary. If your father is an Honorary Marquis, then your mother is a Marquis. Then, the Mo Yang clan must immediately stop all punishments, confinement, and forced labor. They must not offend you in the slightest. Lord Cian said, how can I obtain the title of Honorary Marquis? Dongbua Shui Ying asked. Chapter 33. Lord Cian said, in order to obtain the title of Honorary Marquis, you have to make great contributions. If you carefully look at the Encyclopedia of Exchange, you will see that the title of Honorary Marquis requires 20,000 merit points. Is this the only way? Dongbua Shuiying, of course, had already looked through the encyclopedia, but 20,000 merit points was still too far away. Right now, the missions he could accept were all Black Iron rank, with around 10 to 100 merit points. 100 merit points would be life-threatening, and it would take a lot of time. For a mission that required 100 merit points, he would need to complete 200 missions to accumulate 20,000 merit points. Even if he spent 2 months on one mission, without rest, he could only complete 6 missions a year. It would take more than 30 years to accumulate enough merit points. Moreover, the Black Iron rank mission list sent by Dragon Mountain Manor only had 1 stack. How could there be so many Black Iron rank missions with exactly 100 merit points? Is there no other way? Dongbua Shuiying asked. No. Lord Xian shook his head. Honorary Marquis cannot be obtained through opportunistic means. It can only be obtained through great contributions. For a legend ranker, they have to go through many life and death situations in order to accumulate so many merit points. Therefore, Honorary Marquis are more respected, because behind them is a legend ranker who has risked his life many times for them. Who? Dongbua Shuiying closed his eyes. Father, what should I do? I really want to kill my way to the Mo Yang family to save my father, but the Mo Yang family was an ancient family with thousands of years of history. They had many strong warriors. Just Mo Yang Chun by alone could display the strength of a legend ranker with the help of the alchemy armor, not to mention the other strong warriors, and that's pseudo-transcendent. Although he was a pseudo-transcendent, he could probably kill me in one move. To obtain 20,000 merit points, doing a mission now is the most stupid thing to do. I just awakened my primordial bloodline not long ago, and my body is constantly being nourished by my Do Qi. My Do Qi is also improving very quickly, and my strength is increasing by a significant margin every day. Dongbua Shuiying thought. Under normal circumstances, my strength is already comparable to a meteor rank. It won't be long before I could be comparable to a silver moon rank, or even a legend rank. At that time, I will obtain the bronze order. Even the lowest reward is 1,000 merit points, while some of the more dangerous ones are 10,000 merit points. I only need to complete them twice, Dongbua Shuiying thought. Sharpening the axe won't delay the work of cutting firewood. Only by improving his own strength would he be able to complete the mission much more efficiently. He understood that this was the fastest way to accumulate 20,000 merit points. But what about father? Would his father be able to last until the day he accumulated 20,000 merit points? The atmosphere in the living room was depressing. Fragments of the armrest scattered all over the floor. Shuiying sat on the chair in silence. Lord Xian could only silently drink his tea. I can't save my father. Dongbua Shuiying's voice was slightly hoarse. But I want to save his life. Is there any way? Although Mo Yang Chun sent people to torture him, he also let the alchemy workshop's magicians use magic to heal him. You shouldn't let your father die. Lord Xian said. Probably not. Dongbua Shuiying clenched his teeth and said, My father's life can't be controlled by Mo Yang Chun Bai. Moreover, my father has been forced to do hard labor for several years. Mo Yang Chun Bai might lose interest in torturing him at any time. At that time, my father is likely to lose his life. I want to save my father's life. Dongbua Shuiying looked at Lord Xian. With enough gold coins, even a transcendent can be invited. I believe in the power of gold coins. Money has the power to move countless people's hearts. Lord Xian, how many gold coins do I need to save my father's life? Dongbua Shuiying said. If he could spend 10 million gold coins in one go, perhaps even a transcendent would help to save his father with a smile. But obviously, the amount of gold coins needed to invite a transcendent was not something Dongbua Shuiying could afford. Gold coins? Lord Xian thought for a moment. If Lord has enough gold coins, I have an idea. Please say it. Dongbua Shuiying said. Previously, when I helped you investigate the information about your parents, I found out that the East Fragrant Lake Alchemy Workshop is an extremely important core workshop of the Mo Yang clan. The person in charge is an extremely powerful master alchemist. His mage strength is at the silver moon level, and he is an expert in alchemy. In the Mo Yang clan, his status is even higher than Mo Yang Chun and Mo Yang Chun Bai. Lord Xian said. Dongbua Shui Ying's eyes lit up. A powerful master alchemist. Every ancient clan would hold him in high regard. He controls the entire alchemy workshop. In the alchemy workshop, this master alchemist has the final say. Lord Xian said, if he is willing to save your father, he can easily save your father's life. He can even stop your father from suffering. Ask him for help. Dongbua Shuang said, this master alchemist has a very high vision. If the gold coins are too little, I'm afraid he won't care. Lord Xian said, I think we should take out 100,000 gold coins. There should be a certain degree of certainty. If you could take out 110,000 gold coins, I will help you with this matter. 110,000 gold coins, of which 10,000 gold coins will be given to the Dragon Mountain Manor personnel for this task. 100,000 gold coins will be used to bribe this master alchemist. If it fails, the 100,000 gold coins will be returned. The reward will not be returned. Lord Xian said, Dragon Mountain Manor's intelligence network was spread all over the world. Moreover, the establishment of Dragon Mountain Manor, in addition to monitoring the world, was originally to serve the world's strongest experts. This kind of gloomy matter was not considered a violation of the rules. 110,000 gold coins? Good. Dongbua Shuang turned his hand, and a thick stack of gold notes appeared in his hand. This is the Empire's bank's gold notes, a total of 110,000. Lord Xian was startled. Good fellow, 110,000 gold coins, He actually took it out just like that. One must know that when Bai Yuanji accepted a direct disciple, he shouted 50,000 gold coins as a disciple fee. This meant that he would be responsible for the direct disciple for the rest of his life. But in the end, Dongbua Shuang only gave him the silver moon heart and not 50,000 gold coins, because it was really very difficult to obtain so many gold coins. It seemed that killing the silver moon wolf king and the shadow leopard was very profitable. But even a legend knight would not be willing to earn this kind of fast money, because they might encounter a magical beast that was stronger than them and lose their life. In fact, when they encountered the shadow leopard, Dongbua Shuang almost lost his life. In order to obtain so many gold coins, adventurers would usually go to some dangerous place to try their luck, or risk their lives in the mountain range of desolation. Without risking their lives, it was too difficult to obtain so many gold coins. The 110,000 gold coins that Dongbua Shuang took out. Among them, there were 70,000 gold coins from selling the silver moon wolf king's fur and other important materials, as well as the gold coins that were left behind when he destroyed the Bent Blade Union. Dongbua Shuang only had a total of 120,000 gold coins, and this time he took out a total of 110,000 gold coins. Rest assured, I will give you the news within a month. Rest assured, this matter is in the bag. These mages, alchemists, all value money very much. Their experiments consume a lot of materials, so 100,000 gold coins is enough to protect a worker in the workshop. Lord Xian said. Dongbua Shuang nodded. If it was not successful, then he would add more money. The news of him killing the Silver Moon Wolf King had spread far and wide, so there were merchants who took the initiative to purchase the fur and other materials. Although the corpse of the shadow leopard had been completely dissected, it had not been sold yet. Then I will have to trouble Lord C, and Dongbua Shuang said, if this matter is successful, I, Dongbua Shuang, will not forget Lord Xian's favor. Haha, rest assured. When Lord Xian heard Dongbua Shuang's words, he immediately laughed. If this matter was done well, Dongbua Shuang would definitely remember this favor. Right now, Dongbua Shuang's favor was not much, but if he became a legend ranker in the future, it would be different. The Dragon Mountain Manor's internal network was dense. Lord Xian quickly contacted the person in charge of the Dragon Mountain Manor in the Bellfeather County of the Eastfield Province and handed the matter over to him. Although the Mo Yang clan could cover the sky with one hand in Bellfeather County, the Dragon Mountain Manor was independent. The Dragonmount Manor was not something an ordinary clan could influence. For example, Lord Cian of the Dragon Mountain Manor in Waterrights Town directly said that the Ci family's ancestor, Ci Liang Hong, was an old witch. This was also because he was not worried that the Ci family could threaten him, and also because he had some grudges with the Ci family. Of course, if it was the top clan in the Tranquil Sun province, the Chongfeng clan, the foreign Dragon Mountain Manor might still be unyielding. The Dragon Mountain Manor in the Tranquil Sun province would have to bow their heads. But the Ci family and the Mo Yang family did not have the strength to do so. Eastfield Province, Bellfeather County, East Fragrant Lake Alchemy Workshop. The East Fragrant Lake was a very beautiful lake. The lake was like a mirror, and beside the lake was a huge, enclosed, fortress-like alchemy workshop. At the very center of the alchemy workshop was a tall mage tower. This was the mage tower of the master alchemist, Master Su Guanqing. Although this Master Su Guanqing was only a silver moon mage, in the field of alchemy, he was the #1 in the entire Bellfeather County. This kind of master alchemist was also invited by other stronger clans, but the Mo Yang clan successfully poached Su Guanqing. Su Guanqing was even able to enter the clan's elder council as an external elder. The reason why Su Guanqing was willing to join the Mo Yang clan was because his hometown was in Bellfeather County. Otherwise, he would not have joined the Mo Yang clan. Hua hua hua. Next to the blazing hot gear, a shirtless, sweaty middle-aged man was pushing with all his might. It was Dongbo Lai. Beside him, there were even more workers working. Hurry up. You're a heaven-rank knight. Use more strength. From time to time, the supervisor's gaze would fall on Dongbo Lai's body, and from time to time, he would lash out with his whip. Dongbo Lai was thinner than before. He was silent as he worked. Day and night of hard work, coupled with the occasional torture, these kind of days with no end in sight, were simply a nightmare from hell. But Dongbo Lai clenched his teeth and endured because he had not given up. He still had a desire. His wife, his 2 sons. He still had too many things to worry about. He wanted to live. Even if he had to live like a dog, he still wanted to live. Master. Master. Suddenly, some of the supervisors in the surroundings trembled and respectfully shouted. Some of the workers were startled. They saw a black-haired old man wearing a red robe slowly walk in. Everyone respectfully held their breath. The person in front of them was the clan's elder and the master of the entire alchemy workshop, Master Su Guanqing. Recently, I want to do some experiments, and I need some people to help me with them. Master Su Guanqing said casually, as long as you accept some of my experiments, you don't have to do this work, and you will get more pay. Everyone held their breath. Master Alchemist's experiments? The supervisors' faces turned pale. Who would be stupid enough to volunteer? Who are the prisoners here? Master Su Guanqing frowned when he saw that no one volunteered. Some of the workers were clan workers, so they still had some freedom. But for the prisoners, he could do whatever he wanted. Master, there are more than 2,000 prisoners here. The supervisor at the side immediately said, give me the list of all the prisoners. Their strength must also be clearly written. I will choose some to experiment on. Master Su Guanqing ordered. Yes. The supervisor immediately replied respectfully. On that day, 12 unlucky prisoners were chosen to accept the master's experiments. Among them, there were 2 heaven rank knight prisoners, 5 earth rank knight prisoners, and 5 ordinary knight prisoners. Under the sympathetic gazes of the surrounding people, the prisoners all went to see the master alchemist in fear, despair, or numbness. You Dongbo Lai? Stay here first. Master Su Guanqing ordered. After the other prisoners left, Dongbo Lai, wearing tattered clothes, stood there nervously. Master Su Guanqing looked down at the scroll and casually said, Dongbo Lai, someone spent 100,000 gold coins to protect your life. From today onwards, you will stay here with me and be my assistant. You don't need to do the detailed work. My apprentices can't do the heavy work, so you will do it. Assistant? Dongbo Lai was stunned. You can stay here peacefully. No one will dare to break into my mage tower. Master Su Guanqing ordered. All right, from now on, You will obediently stay in the mage tower and don't go out. My disciple will make the detailed arrangements for you. You can leave now." "Yes, master." Dongbulai felt a little dazed and couldn't believe it. His nightmarish days had ended just like that. Being an assistant in an experiment was much easier than working in a workshop. "There's a problem with the metal ratio?" Master Su Guangqing frowned as he looked at the scroll and thought carefully. To him, this was only a small matter. He was still very happy to receive 100,000 gold coins. Of course, he couldn't just take the money and not do anything because the money was given by Dragon Mountain Manor. Since he received money from Dragon Mountain Manor, he had to do something good. As for Mo Yang Chunbai, Master Su Guangqing didn't care about a clan knight who relied on alchemy armor. A master like him who could continuously refine many treasures was the true foundation of the clan. "It seems that I have to experiment more. The materials are somewhat insufficient. Those elders of the clan are always suppressing my material supply." Master Su Guangqing frowned. Chapter 34. After the New Year, Lord Xian once again came to Snorra Castle. "It's a success," Lord Xian said with a smile. "The master alchemist of East Fragrant Lake has already received 100,000 gold coins. According to our investigation, your father Donbo Lai has been summoned to the Mage Tower to do some work. Although it is still a bit heavy, as a heaven-rank knight, your father can easily bear it. After all, the Mo Yang clan ordered him to do hard labor for 100 years. The master alchemist only wanted to save his life, but did not want to violate the order to make your father's life easier. No problem, as long as he can keep his life." Dongbua Shui Ying could not help but say, "Is my father safe in the Mage Tower? Will there be an accident?" "You can rest assured," Lord Xian said. "The Mage Tower of a master alchemist is absolutely forbidden, even if the Mo Yang clan's pseudo-transcendent. If he wants to enter the Mage Tower, he must get the permission of the master alchemist and give him enough respect. Moreover, the Mage Tower is full of traps and countless dangers. The master alchemist's lifetime's research is hidden there, so no one dares to go in recklessly. Was Mo Yang Chun Bai status? Not to mention the people he sent. Even he himself does not dare to go in. Your father is absolutely safe." "Thank you," Lord Xian Dongbua Shui Ying said gratefully, as if a huge stone had been lifted from his heart. For him, gold coins were just worldly possessions. His father's life was the most important thing. Fortunately, Lord Xian, otherwise this time Dongbua would be in trouble. Zhong Ling sighed. He and Tong San were also slightly relieved. "Haha, it's nothing," Lord Xian said. "Dongbua Lai is after all a citizen of our water rights town. If I can save him, I will naturally do my best." Dongbua Shui Ying felt relieved, but he was still not satisfied with the current situation of his parents. His mother was locked up alone in a place forever. This was equivalent to a long time in prison. Normally, there would be companions to relieve boredom in prison, but this confinement was all alone. His father had always been doing some heavy work. "My strength is still too weak. I'm not even a legend rank. There's no hope for father to become an honorary marquis. I have to hurry. After my primordial bloodline awakened, my body has improved greatly. But the more I cultivate, the faster my body will improve." Shuang thought. Just like the legendary giant dragon, they were all transcendents. These dragons would become transcendents as soon as they reached adulthood. Some of the great dragons who knew how to cultivate were much stronger than the other great dragons. It was the same principle. Naturally, there was a huge difference in strength between those who had awakened their strength bloodline and those who cultivated diligently and those who slept every day. Dongbua Shuang wanted to increase his strength as much as possible. In an open space beside the bamboo house at the back of the mountain, there were 2 refiner dummies. These refiner dummies were worth 5,000 gold coins each. Below the legend rank, no one would be able to harm them. Even if a legend ranker were to suffer some minor injuries, the refiner dummy's self-recovery ability would still be able to recover. Therefore, it was a common tool used by archmages to conduct experiments. These dummies were specially bought from the water rights town and fixed by archmages. It would be very difficult to move them away. Thinking about how Dongbua Shui Ying spear arts could not even move them, one could imagine how stable they were. Pong, pong. The spear was like a bolt of lightning, sweeping, striking, chopping, collapsing. As Dongbua Shuiying walked, every move he made was extremely powerful. Although he had already reached the realm of a great spear master, and training in spear arts had almost negligible effects on his realm, it was still very beneficial to his body. On one hand, after awakening his strength bloodline, his body's self-recovery ability was astonishing. Every time he recovered, his muscles and bones would undergo a small evolution. This kind of evolution, after accumulating countless times, would result in a huge increase in his strength. On the other hand, if his body used up too much energy to recover, he would be able to absorb more fire energy from the outside world when training in the 3-stage flame technique. Furthermore, some of the insights he gained from comprehending the natural world could also be tested during spear practice. Hoo. Sweat drenched his clothes. Dongbua Shuiying's strength was as one. He could feel the fatigue in every part of his body. Some parts that were not trained enough would naturally be strengthened. Under this kind of pressure, the potential of his strength bloodline was constantly being excavated. The grass on Snowrock Mountain would wither and flourish for an entire year, again and again. In the blink of an eye, 6 years had passed. The young and inexperienced Kong Yu, the mischievous Dongbua Qingshi, and the young Dongbua Shuiying had all grown up. Hua, hua, hua. The sound of the mountain's spring water reverberated in the lake, making the surroundings even more peaceful. A black-clothed young man was sitting cross-legged on a big rock with his eyes closed. His face looked like it was carved by a knife or hatchet. He inherited his father's looks. His looks were rather ordinary and could not be considered handsome. However, he had an aura that was as reserved as a mountain, which was obviously extraordinary. At this moment, his breathing was so slow that it was almost undetectable. His heartbeat was also ridiculously slow, only beating once per minute. His blood flow was also extremely slow. Huff, huff, he suddenly opened his eyes. His breathing caused his spine to undulate like a dragon. When he inhaled, his abdomen slightly bulged, as if an endless amount of air was being sucked into his body. When he exhaled, a violent force rushed out from his mouth and directly hit the surface of the lake in front of him. The calm lake suddenly exploded. The surface of the lake suddenly caved in, and a large amount of water splashed into the sky. With each breath, the previously extremely calm and slow blood flow in his body began to accelerate. His heartbeat also quickly returned to normal. He stood up and stood up. Do-chi surged on the surface of his body. The fiery red Do-chi condensed to form a layer of protection. His entire person looked like a flaming god of war. He started to practice the 3-stage flame technique that he had practiced countless times over the years. It was just a middle-grade Do-chi technique, but under his display, it was a combination of hardness and softness, bringing about a strange charm. Sometimes the moves were slow, and sometimes the speed would suddenly increase. Boom! He suddenly waved his palm. The tip of his palm crushed the air and formed a high-pressure air current. This white arc of air current whizzed across the sky and hit a distant mountain rock. Crack! A huge crack immediately appeared on the big rock. A large amount of broken rocks flew everywhere and rolled down the mountain stream in the distance. Dongbua Shuiying practiced his fist technique, one move after another. Just the high-pressure air current produced by his fist and palm could easily tear a big rock apart. Withdraw. When he withdrew, his aura slowly calmed down. The Do-chi on the surface of his body was also completely withdrawn. The growth of my strength has already begun to slow down. Dongbua Shuiying thought to himself. Wait until my Do-chi breaks through to the silver moon rank. Only then will my body be able to rapidly improve again. But it's already enough. Dongbua Shui Ying's hard work in training and constantly excavating the potential of his bloodline had allowed him to possess unimaginable strength. Because his strength was perfect as one, he did not encounter any bottlenecks in his battle energy from heaven rank to meteor rank. After accumulating enough, he naturally broke through. The liquefied Do Qi was of great help to the evolution of the body. In the past half a year, Dongbua Shui Ying's body had been constantly improving, but recently it had begun to slow down. My Do Qi is only at the meteor level, but I've awakened the strength bloodline, and my body is still stronger. 6 years ago, when I just awakened, my strength was already at the peak of the meteor rank. Now, according to the tests of the refiner dummy, my physical strength should be able to reach the peak of the legend rank under normal circumstances. Dongbua Shuang thought to himself, although I have yet to achieve one with the world, this is the difference between me and a titled knight. But my body is strong enough, and once my power bloodline activates, my strength will double. With absolute power, among the legend rankers, he could definitely be ranked at the top. It was a pity that he had never reached the realm of one with the world. It's time to accept the mission. Dongbua Shuang knew. Brother Snow Eagle, Brother Snow Eagle. Suddenly, a warm and melodious voice of a girl came from afar. Chapter 35. Hearing the familiar voice, Dongbua Shuang could not help but reveal a smile. He immediately picked up the Feishue God spear that was placed beside him. His body flashed, leaving only an afterimage, and he was already a few hundred meters away at the top of the mountain. Behind the mountain, beside the bamboo house, a girl wearing a light purple robe stood gracefully, carrying a basket and looking around. She was the grown-up Kong Yu. She was now 19 years old, and the innocent girl had already become a real beauty. Because she had been studying magic for a long time, her skin was slightly pale, but it made her look even more delicate. Her temperament also carried a trace of a mage's unique, mysterious aura. She was indeed a young girl who could move one's heart. At least among the disciples of the great mage by Yuan Ji, there were many male disciples who liked Kong Yu, and some even pursued her. Yu. Dongbua Shuang appeared beside the bamboo house, and casually put down the spear and smiled. Brother Snow Eagle, you can't be too tired from practicing your spear art. Teacher said that on the road of cultivation, you need to relax and relax. Kong Yu smiled as she stood beside the stone table and took out some snacks from the basket. I just made some cakes that Brother Snow Eagle likes. Come and have a taste. Dongbua Shuang walked over to the plate and smelled it, revealing a smile. How fragrant. Saying that, he picked up a small soft cake and took a bite and smiled. Yu's cooking is getting better and better. When he was young, he loved the snacks made by his mother, but after his mother left, he could no longer eat them. The food made by the servants at home was always different from his mother's. Yu's cooking was very good. Although it was not as good as the taste of his mother's, it was still better than the servants. I specially learned it. Yu said proudly. I will be returning to the castle in a while. Let's have lunch together. Dongbua Shuang said, and sat there eating the snacks. He ate very quickly, one at a time. Okay, Brother Snow Eagle hasn't been back to the castle for a long time. Yu stood at the side and watched Dongbua Shuang eat. Soon he finished eating. Let's go. Dongbua Shuang stood up. Yes. Yu nodded. A man and a woman walked side by side. Since the winter when she was 12, Kong Yu had been living in Snowrock Mountain. She spent most of her time in the castle. At that time, she would often visit Dongbua Shuang with the younger Qing Shi. As time passed, Dongbua Shuang and Kong Yu became closer. 6 years together. To be precise, Yu is the girl that Dongbua Shuang interacted with the most. Moreover, he was very comfortable with Yu. Dongbua Shuang's mind was completely focused on cultivation, wanting to rescue his parents as soon as possible. As for Kong Yu, she just stood by the side and watched silently, never bothering them. Sometimes, Dongbua Shuang had the same thought. Perhaps marrying Yu as a wife would not be too bad. Although he did not have the kind of life and death love that his parents had, Dongbua Shui Ying had never interacted with other girls. Moreover, he felt that, as long as he could live happily, it would be fine. Moreover, Kong Yu had never cared about the pursuits of other male disciples. Her mind was completely focused on Dongbua Shuang. This was something that everyone could see. As for Kong Yu's father, Kong Hai, he had been trying his best to facilitate this marriage. No hurry. Yu is still young. Let's talk about it after we rescue my parents. Before rescuing his parents, Dongbua Shui Ying had no intention of marrying. Because knights and mages were focused on cultivation, they married and had children later. His father, Dongbua Lai, only married his mother when he was in his 30s. Yu's father, Kong Hai, was also in his 40s before he married and had his eldest daughter, Kong Yu. For a female mage, 19 years old was really young. It was normal to get married at 30 years old. Getting married at 20 years old was considered too early. Moreover, to rescue my parents, I would need 20,000 merit points. I can only take on some of the more dangerous bronze rank missions. Dongbua Shuang thought to himself, although I am confident, no one can guarantee my safety. Maybe I will die during the mission. Before everything is completed, don't think about anything else. Snorok Castle main building, dining hall. Dongbua Shuang, Zhongling, Tong San, Qing Shi, and Kong Yu all sat down. Qing Shi, I heard from you that you have a girlfriend for almost half a year. Dongbua Shuang smiled as he looked at his brother. Qing Shi was really handsome. There were enough soldiers in the castle. Dongbua Shuang had been to Water Rights Town. However, he dared to pat his chest and say, among all the young men he had seen, his brother was the most handsome one. His brother's eyes were very bright. His eyes were very charming. He had been handsome since he was young. Now that he was 16 years old, he was even more handsome. Just by relying on his looks, he would not have to worry about food. His cultivation was also the same as his mother's. His specialty was ice magic. His brother had a faint cold aura around him. It was said that many female disciples in the mages building were chasing after his brother. Regarding this, Dongbua Shui Ying was very proud. At the same time, he was also very emotional. That 2-year-old brat who was lying on his chest and drooling had already grown so big in the blink of an eye. Sister Yu, you are really nosy. You even told this to my brother. Qing Shi frowned helplessly. You really hid it well. I only found out that you have a girlfriend for almost half a year. Of course I told your brother. He is your brother. Yu laughed at the side. If your girlfriend doesn't mind, bring her over for me to see. Dongbua Shui Ying said. All right, let's see if she agrees. Qing Shi curled his lips. All right, I'm preparing to go out for a trip. I am afraid it will be 10 days to half a month. Dongbua Shui Ying said. What is it? Are you going to the mountain range of desolation again? Qing Shi asked. Zhongling and Tong Sen looked at Dongbua Shui Ying in surprise. I promise I will definitely not go to the mountain range of desolation. Dongbua Shui Ying grinned. I'm going out for a trip to see more and practice my spear arts. He did not elaborate. He did not want to talk about the mission. At night, in the study room, the fire crystal lamp was on the desk. Its light illuminated the study room. Zhongling and Tong San were both here. Dongbua Shui Ying sat in front of the desk and said, Uncle Zhong, Uncle Tong, I am preparing to go out and accept a black iron mission to practice. Next time, I will apply for a bronze order. I will start the bronze mission. You must be careful, Tong San said. In the entire Snorok Castle, only the two of them were clear about Dongbua Shui Ying's strength. They knew that he already had the strength of a legend ranker. Shui Ying, I don't doubt your strength. It's just that you haven't fought with many experts yet. You should use the Black Iron rank quests to train yourself first. I agree with this point. Zhongling nodded. Accumulate more combat experience before taking on bronze quests. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. For a legend ranker to take on a Black Iron mission, it was naturally very easy. I have seen the mission list. Recently, there is a very good mission. Dongbua Shui Ying said. What mission? Zhongling and Tong San asked. Look, Dongbua Shui Ying picked up the mission list on the desk. There was already a mission circled on it. Zhongling and Tong San walked over to take a closer look. It was written very clearly, Within the Azure River County, there is a castle. After investigation, it has committed a capital offense. The castle is extremely strong and requires 5 experts. The mission is very dangerous. It is recommended that the person who accepts the mission must have the strength of a silver moon knight. Mission reward: 100 merit points. You must gather at the Azure River County's Dragon Mountain Manor before the 1st of June. Dongbua Shuiying said, I will inform Lord Yin and immediately set off to the county's Dragon Mountain Manor. This mission requires 5 silver moon knights. It will definitely be difficult. For me, it should be a good opportunity to practice. Chapter 36. The next day, the sky was still bright. Zhongling, Tong San, Qing Shi, and Kong Yu sent Dongbua Shuiying off. Uncle Zong, I'll leave the castle to you, Dongbua Shuiying said. Rest assured, Snow Eagle. Zhongling said. 6 years had passed, but Zhongling did not waste his time. He had finally stepped into the meteor rank. Brother, be careful, Qing Shi said. He had no memories of his parents. His brother had been taking care of him for many years, so his feelings for his brother were very deep. Brother Snow Eagle, I'll wait for you to come back, Yu shouted. Ha! Dongbua Shuiying laughed while riding on the Snowstrider horse. Jia! Who? The Snowstrider horse immediately galloped. Its speed was very fast, and it soon disappeared at the end of the mountain road. First, he went to Water Rights Town to inform Lord C, and immediately passed the message to Azure River County's Dragon Mountain Manor. Dongbua Shuiying himself did not stop to rush towards Azure River County. Azure River County covered an area of tens of thousands of miles. From Snow Eagle Castle to Azure River County, the direct distance was estimated to be 6,000 miles. Furthermore, the official road had to avoid some mountains, and the actual route was probably more than 10,000 miles. Jia! Dongbua Shuiying was dressed in black, carrying a weapon box on his back as he rode on the Snowstrider horse. The Snowstrider horse galloped as fast as a phantom. The Snow-Treading Magic Beast Colt was a Class 3 magical beast colt. It was considered one of the best colts. Above it were other magical beasts. However, magical beasts were naturally good at running. A rank 3 magical beast was not inferior to some rank 4 magical beasts. Actually, with Shuiying's current strength as a legend ranker, riding on a Snowstrider pony was too low profile. With his current strength, if he were to reveal it, there would be big powers who would take the initiative to send him a rank 5 magical beast mount, or even a flying magical beast mount. Hong, hong, hong. As the snow-treading horse galloped down, the earth faintly trembled as a phantom dashed past. If it ran for 2 hours, it could travel 900 miles. If it wore armor and charged, even a heaven rank knight would not dare to block it. However, it was sold for 2,000 gold coins. 20 Snowstrider horses were enough to buy a territory comparable to the Snow Eagle territory. Thus, most clans were reluctant to buy them. Dongbua Shuiying had only been able to afford 5 Snowstrider horses after selling off the Shadow Leopard's fur and other materials. Stop! Up ahead is the Cold Jade Mountain. Some merchants had gathered in front of a large canyon. When they saw a knight galloping over from afar, they immediately shouted, "Friend, stop! Let's cross the Cold Jade Mountain together." The Cold Jade Mountain is in danger. Many of the merchants and their guards shouted at the same time. Who? The snow-treading horse did not slow down in the slightest. It turned into a phantom and flashed past. Crazy. The merchant guards were all astonished. Is that knight crazy? Does he think he can charge through with just a Snowstrider horse? Can a place like the Cold Jade Mountain be barged into? Cold Jade Mountain. Dongbua Shuiying, who was on horseback, was very sensitive to his surroundings. Of course, he heard the merchant's shouts. The Cold Jade Mountain is the only way to the Azure River County City. The Cold Jade Mountain is connected to the Mountain of Desolation. I heard that there are many bandits living in the Cold Jade Mountain. They often rob passing merchants. The bandits here are even more famous than my Water Rights Town's Bent Blade Union. Caravans would usually form an alliance and gather enough people to pass through the cold Jade Mountain together. But for Dongbua Shuang, in the entire Azure River County, the only ones who could threaten him were those legend rankers. Moreover, it was only a threat. Who would win and who would lose would only be known after a fight. As for a group of bandits, they were nothing more than chickens and dogs. Ooh! The Snowstrider horse galloped like the wind, causing the earth to tremble slightly. The movement was so loud that it could be felt from afar. Where did this black-clothed man come from? He actually dared to charge into the cold Jade Mountain alone? Is he courting death? Boss, should we make a move? Make a move, my ass. There's no need for us to risk such a tough bone. Let's just leave it to the 8 cold Jade Eagles. Some of the bandits saw a single horse galloping from afar. Many of them chose to give up. Bandits also had to consider the risks and rewards. After galloping for a few dozen li, they had already reached the middle section of the cold Jade Mountain. On top of the mountain, there was a large group of bandits dressed in cyan armor. There were only a total of 100 bandits, but they were all well equipped. Almost every ordinary bandit carried a huge crossbow on their back. It was the star-breaking crossbow. The 8 bandit leaders had an extraordinary bearing. They were the most famous of the cold Jade Mountain, the 8 cold Jade Eagles. Among them, there were 3 meteor rank warriors, 2 heaven rank mages, and 3 heaven rank knights. All of them had some tricks up their sleeves to be ranked as the 8 eagles. Haha, today's harvest is not bad. This caravan is quite good. These bandits were currently in an extremely good mood. Beside them, there were more than 10 people who had been captured alive. The rest of the caravan had died, leaving only these 10 or so people alive. Among them, there were old men, middle-aged men, and even a pair of young boys and girls. The pair of young boys and girls were currently leaning against each other. Their eyes were filled with fear and despair. They were worried about their future. Let's go. Let's go back and take a rest. Let's investigate their origins. Who knows, we might be able to get even more ransom money. The 8 cold Jade Eagles were a group of extremely fierce bandits. Every one of them had a bounty on them, and they would do anything they wanted. Leaders, quickly look. There's a black-clothed knight coming over. He's riding a Snowstrider horse, and he's alone. Some of the bandits immediately reported. The 8 leaders looked from afar. Indeed, there was a single rider galloping forward from afar. He dares to charge in alone? Didn't he look down on our cold Jade Mountain? Big brother, should we make a move? The other 7 eagles looked at their big brother. The great leader of the frozen Jade 8 eagles frowned as he looked down. There are only so many legend rankers in the Azure River County, and all of them are extremely famous. I even know what they look like. Moreover, they wouldn't be so poor as to ride a treading snow horse. This black-robed youth looked very young. The weapon box he carried on his back should be a spear. Who is it? Never heard of it. Could be a Silver Moon Knight? Brothers, release the arrows and test him. The great leader ordered. If the bones are too hard to chew, we'll leave. If he's too weak, we'll eat him. Yes. Immediately, all the bandits, including the great leader, took out their crossbows or bows. Normal bandits could use the star-breaking crossbow to unleash great power. The star-breaking crossbow could pierce through a meteor knight's protective aura. As for the great leader and the other 2 meteor knights, they were more suited to use bows and arrows. The arrows of a meteor knight were enough to threaten the life of a Silver Moon Knight. Based on these arrows, it was enough to determine the strength of the black-robed young man below. However, they didn't know what kind of existence their arrows had provoked. Release. The great leader ordered. Shio, shio, shio. Numerous arrows were shot down from the top of the mountain, enveloping Dongbua Ying, who was currently rushing over. Chapter 37. Dongbua Ying raised his head and saw numerous arrows flying towards him. Each of the arrowheads was shining with a cold metallic luster, tearing through the air with great power. Truly overestimating yourself. Dongbua Ying quickly took out the 2 parts of the spear from the weapon box on his back. Who? The 2 parts of the spear were more than a meter long. Under the control of Dongbua Ying's hands, The Snowstrider horse's speed was too fast. Only about a dozen arrows actually reached him. With a wave of the spear, the arrows were all deflected away. Not to mention Dongbua Shuang, not even a single arrow touched the horse. Following that, Dongbua Shuang jumped down from the Snowstrider horse and rushed up the mountain. At the same time, the two parts of the spear merged into one. What a tough bone retreat. The big leader was shocked by how easily Dongbua Shuang blocked the arrows. He knew that he was not someone to be trifled with. Xiao, leader, not good. We've provoked a huge disaster. The great leader and the others, as well as the bandits, were all terrified. They looked down in fear. The black-clothed youth who jumped down from the horse turned into a black shadow and rushed into the sky. Although he was flying up the mountain walls, his speed was so fast that it made their hearts tremble and their legs go soft. It made them feel fear. Too fast, it was really too fast. They were at the top of the mountain, and there was a distance of about 200 meters between them and the ground. Furthermore, the steep mountain road was difficult to climb. Logically, they should have enough time to retreat. But in reality, the speed at which the black-clothed youth was rushing up was simply terrifying. The rocks and trees weren't an obstacle at all, and the steep mountain walls weren't an obstacle either. The speed at which he dashed through the forest was even faster than the Snowstrider horse's speed on the official road. It was so fast that the bandits couldn't even see the black-clothed youth's exact figure. They could only see a blurry black shadow. How can this be? How can we meet a legend ranker? The big leader felt as if his head was about to explode. His clothes were drenched in sweat, and both his legs went soft. To be able to move so fast on a mountain, he must be a legend ranker. A Silver Moon Knight is not that fast. At least I can see the silhouette of a Silver Moon Knight, so I could try my luck. There are only so many legend rankers in the Azure River County. Where did this guy come from? Where did he come from? How could this be? No. The great leader was unwilling to accept everything that was happening in front of him. Despair, fear, and all sorts of complicated emotions surged within him. He had no thoughts of resisting at all, because the gap between them was far too great. A Meteor Knight might be able to put up a fight against a Silver Moon Knight. However, if a Silver Moon Knight were to encounter a legend ranker, he would usually be killed in one move. Even if it was a Silver Moon Great Mage in front of a legend ranker, they wouldn't even be able to cast a spell. It could be seen from this. How powerful was a legend ranker? This represented the limit of mortals, a true one-man army. In front of a legend ranker, a Meteor Knight could not even retaliate. Spare my life, Lord, spare my life. This tall and sturdy, fierce leader suddenly knelt down, begging for mercy. Pung! A shadow of a spear suddenly swept past, causing the great leader to reveal a terrified expression. However, he was simply unable to block it in time, and the shadow of the spear directly swept past his chest. Bang! His entire chest caved in, and his internal organs were completely shattered. At the same time, he was like a broken sandbag as he flew backwards, crashing into a distant tree. The great leader fell to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were wide open, and he had already died. Run, quickly run. The other leaders, including the bandits, had completely gone crazy. They immediately scattered in all directions, fleeing in all directions. This was like the scene of two beings of different levels meeting. Although the other side had the advantage in numbers, each and every one of them was filled with fear from the depths of their souls. There was only one thought in their minds: run. Shwa shwa shwa. Too fast. Dongbua Shuang's speed was extremely fast, especially in the eyes of those who were tied up and captured. 7 or 8 afterimages appeared, as if 7 or 8 Dongbua Shuangs had simultaneously shot out their spears. Each and every one of the bandits were too slow to block in time. In fact, even if they tried to block, it would be useless. Pu, including the other 2 Meteor Knight leaders, including a heaven rank mage who was barely able to cast a spell, all of them had their bodies pierced by the spear. As for the spell, this laughable spell that had turned into a sharp blade was immediately dispersed by the high pressure created by Dongbua Shui Ying's spear. It couldn't even touch the shaft of the spear. He had killed over 30 bandits in a row. The other bandits were fleeing in all directions with all their might. Some of them were rushing down the mountain, while others were rushing up the mountain. In short, they were running in all directions. Dongbua Shui didn't chase after them anymore. After all, once the backbone of a powerful bandit group was gone, the remaining small fries wouldn't be able to do much. Dongbua Shui swept his gaze across the corpses of the strongest bandit leaders. Now that his perception of the outside world had become sharper, he walked beside the corpses and discovered that one of the bandits' leaders' bracelets was actually a storage treasure. The tip of the spear pointed forward. Dang! The bracelets were shaken off by the spear tip, and with a flick of the spear tip, they flew into Dongbua Shui Ying's hands. Lord, save us! Lord, please save us! Those tied-up old men, middle-aged men, and a pair of youths stared longingly at the bandits. They were afraid that after this powerful expert left, the bandits would capture them again. Pu. Dongbua Shui walked over and waved his spear casually. The sharp edge of the spear tip sliced through the ropes, and in an instant, the bandits were freed. Thank you, Lord, for saving our lives. A white-bearded old man bowed respectfully. At the same time, he whispered an order to the people beside him. Pack everything up and offer it to Lord. Yes, these merchants were all intelligent people. They immediately went to collect the valuables that the bandits had plundered, as well as the gold notes and other valuables from the bandits' corpses. Very soon, a huge pile of star-breaking crossbows, gold notes, and other valuables was gathered. Lord, these are the remains of the bandits. We will offer them to Lord as well. Thank you, Lord, for saving our lives. The white-bearded old man said respectfully. Dongbua Shui swept his gaze across. The thick stack of gold notes was indeed valuable. The main reason was that the other 2 meteor-rank knights of the Frozen Jade 8 Eagles did not have any storage treasures. They only carried some valuables with them. All right, Dongbua Shui straightforwardly kept the stack of gold notes, which was worth around 80,000 to 90,000 gold coins. As for the other valuables, keep them. Take the star-breaking crossbows as well. Who knows, they might be able to save your lives. Where are your merchant caravans that were plundered? Where are your horses? The others are all dead. The horses were left in front. The Frozen Jade 8 Eagles don't care about those horses. The white-bearded old man said. Dongbua Shui nodded. Hurry up. I will bring you out of the Frozen Jade Mountain Valley. Once we are out of the valley, I will leave you to it. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. The white-bearded old man knelt down and cowed out. The others also knelt down to express their gratitude. The Frozen Jade Mountain Valley was occupied by a large number of bandits. Without Dongbua Shui, it would be hard for them to leave the valley alive. Hurry up. If you are too slow, I will not wait for you. Dongbua Shui had already leapt down. Although he was about 200 m above the ground, he did not seem to care about it at all. With a single leap, he landed on the ground. Pong! The ground trembled. He did not even bend his knees. Not bad. Dongbua Shui refined this storage treasure. The space inside, it was smaller than his mother's storage treasure. The gold notes of these bandit leaders add up to more than 150,000 gold coins. My Snorrock castle is currently lacking in money. Today, we have obtained such a huge profit. Although he had earned close to 100,000 gold coins from selling the shadow leopard's fur and other materials, when his brother had broken through to become an official mage, he had given him a better storage treasure and a mage staff. The mage staff was not expensive. It only cost around 5,000 gold coins. After all, his brother was still weak. If the mage staff was too powerful, he would not be able to unleash its full potential. However, the storage treasure space was huge. It cost a total of 50,000 gold coins. It was even bigger than his mother's storage treasure. When he had reached the strength of a legend ranker, his inner armor had been changed to a rank 2 refiner armor. At the very least, when he fought against a legend ranker, he would be able to protect his vital parts. His boots and clothes had also been changed to some refiner items. However, these items were relatively cheap. Only the inner armor was more expensive. It cost 30,000 gold coins. Thus, Ying was a little short on money. A dignified legend ranker. If other legend rankers were to find out about this, they would definitely laugh at him. After all, what kind of status did a legend ranker have? After bringing those lucky escapees out of the frozen Jade Mountain Valley, Ying no longer cared about them. His snow-treading horse sped up. Galloping all the way, he stayed in Yellow Dragon City for the night. The next morning, he continued his journey. It was only in the evening that he finally arrived at Azure River County City. After a full 2 days, I have finally arrived. Is this Azure River County City? Ying gazed into the distance. In the distance, there was a majestic city. It was so huge that it was hard to see the end of it with the naked eye. The city walls were made of grayish-white rocks. The city walls were at least 100 meters high. 100 meters high city wall. It was as tall as a mountain. On top of this towering city wall, there was a black sphere every half a kilometer. The sphere had a golden pattern on it. The entire towering city was emitting an unseen power. Of course, ordinary people would not be able to sense it. Only Ying, who was extremely sensitive to auras, could sense it. Azure River County City had a population of over 10 million. Its history was even longer than the history of Dragon Mountain Empire. In fact, the history of a province or county city was very long. Even with the change of dynasties, these ancient cities were constantly reinforced. Their magic arrays also became more powerful. A province city was even more exaggerated. It had a population of over 100 million. The city was so majestic that it was like an independent country. It was said that even the power of the gods could not shake the various defenses of the province city. This has truly broadened my horizons. I have a feeling that if the entire Azure River County City's Great Array were to be activated, the power of those spheres would be enough to kill me in an instant. This is completely a transcendent power. Ying sighed. What he didn't know was that activating this Great Array would consume an astonishing amount of energy. Let's enter the city. Riding his snow-treading horse, Ying entered the majestic Azure River County City. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.